Jesus is real, but you devils taught lies on Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ, in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. So do or die. The Immaculate Conception is deception, along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's clause, the birth of Nimrod, and not the Son of God. To you was kinda odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias. And the facts can't be changed. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai.
Hebrew Israelites, Kwam Yashala.
It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High.
Jesus.
Shalom, Israel,
Shalom.
and welcome to another class with the Israelite School of Biblical History and Practical Knowledge. I am Shathat Shikah, and to my left is Priest Quatazap Ash. We are located at 8524 South Braeswood Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77071. Our class times are Monday and Wednesday, 7 to 10, Friday, 6 to 9, and Shabbat morning class, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We also have another school in San Antonio, Texas, located at 4219 Centergate Street, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. We also have another location in Albuquerque, New Mexico, at 7710 Manuel Boulevard, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87110. We also have previously recorded kids class on ISBHPK Kids on YouTube. You can just type that into the search and it'll pop right up. We also have a cable show that airs on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Comcast Local 17, or you can stream it live at hmstv.org. We also have the brother doing the blog talk, the brother Mashaba. That's blogtalkradio.com/Mashaba. And that's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 a.m. Something good to listen to on your morning commute, going to work. I know the traffic can get hectic, or if you have an office job, because I remember I used to have an office job, and you can sit there and listen to something better than that garbage on the radio. If you need to contact a priest, you can reach Priest Quatazap at 303-557-8979. Text only during class. You can also reach Priest Kazakia at 281-707-2737. We also are accepting orders on WHEERE. That's on Facebook. Just type in the search WHEERE. You can get a custom-made garment, French shirt made. They have lots of different options that you can pick from on the Facebook page. Or if you have a custom design in mind, the sisters will work with you. Just hit them up on the WHEERE. Also coming up is the Feast of First Fruits. That's going to be June 7th. That's the Feast of First Fruits on June 7th. And there will be no class that night. But the feast will be we'll be holding a feast at our school, so if you're in town, feel free to come by. Congregate with us, socialize with us. If you never came to the school, come on by, get to know brothers and sisters. It's a good time to relax and kick back and really get to talk and know someone. So that's the Feast of First Fruits, June 7th. And the time we're going to be starting here at the school will be 9 p.m. All donations or alms or offerings can be made at the Wells Fargo account. You can drop that in the Wells Fargo account at 102512 9896. That is the Wells Fargo account number. Or you can mail any pens, books, supplies, anything that's for the further edification of your people. We're always in need of pens, apocryphers, notebooks, Bibles. That's one thing. A lot of times that the apocryphers will get loaded up on, but we don't get any Bibles. People do still walk through without Bibles, so we definitely want to help facilitate anybody that walks through without any Bible or apocrypher. So if you want to make a donation, you want to send it to, you can send it to this school, you can send it to the San Antonio school, the Albuquerque, New Mexico school, and they're also the school that we're starting in Virginia. Do we have that address?
Not yet.
Okay, the address for the Virginia school is to be announced, but yeah, the Virginia school is going to need Bibles, books, pens, apocryphers, history books, dictionaries, computers, whatever you can offer, whatever you have in your heart to give, go ahead and do that because it's definitely needed and appreciated. We also have the Google Wallet. You can drop donations in or alms or offerings, and that Google Wallet is ihbhpk@gmail.com. And that's it for the announcements. Was there anything else that we need to go over?
No, that's everything, right?
That's it.
That's it. That is. Hello? Hello? Yep. How's everybody feeling?
Wow.
Good. So, today's class we're going to go over, somebody had asked us a question in the group chat a couple of weeks ago about Psalms chapter 137, and could we break it down? So what I decided to do was oblige that request, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to go through Psalms 137, and what that Psalms has to do with is a lot of history in that Psalms. That goes into the Babylonian captivity of Israel. So there's going to be some writing, there's going to be some dates, there's going to be some names. All right, there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of reading. So if you just keep your mind clear, pay attention, we'll get through it, and we'll do it like that. So first, let's understand a little bit about the Babylonian. And we talked about Babylon the last couple of classes, and at Zephaniah, we were going through Babylon. And Babylon ain't America. And well, what we're going to be going through is ancient Babylon, the ancient Babylonians, who are the so-called Ethiopians. And they had us in captivity for 70 years. It was around 606 BC to 536 BC was the 70-year captivity. Give or take a few years. Okay? So within that time frame, you actually had a few different prophets of the Bible. You also had a few different kings. Okay, and then you had a couple of different Nebuchadnezzars. So the one thing you have to understand, when you read through the Bible and you're reading in Kings about Nebuchadnezzar, then you go to Daniel, you're reading in Daniel about Nebuchadnezzar, then you go to Jeremiah, you go to Isaiah, Ezekiel, because these prophets were in the time, not the whole time. Like for instance, Jeremiah was in the time of the Babylonians, but so was Daniel. So was Ezekiel. So was Obadiah. Just small spans. You had your minor prophets, your major prophets. So we'll go through that and kind of break down where Jeremiah came in, where his prophecy and where his teaching, where he started, and we'll get all of that in line. Because remember, we don't have the Bible in chronological order. We don't have it in chronological order. If it was in chronological order, it would look a lot different. We just have it arranged in books. But chronologically, Jeremiah, Isaiah, these prophets are more in the beginning of the book. along with all the captivities, because that's what they were prophesying. Who was before Jeremiah? It was Isaiah. Isaiah, right? Isaiah was during the Assyrian captivity. You see that? So he was prophesying on that and dealing with that. Now we were in captivity to the Assyrians before we were captive to the Babylonians. So you had Isaiah, then you had Jeremiah. So just a little tidbit, and that we could understand that chronologically, if you look at the Bible in chronological order, these prophets were, there's a book in Kings, but there's a book in Isaiah. It's the same exact book because Isaiah wrote the book, but it was showing you that he was there at the time. All right, so
Same chapter was verbatim.
yeah, the same chapter. It was verbatim. I forget what chapter it is, but it's verbatim. But anyway, so we got that. So the Babylonians, they had us in captivity for 70 years. So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 21 and verse 1, so we can see the prophecy, because it was prophesied by Jeremiah that we were going into captivity. So let's read Jeremiah. We're going to start at Jeremiah 21, 25 and verse 1. Jeremiah 25 and the first verse, down to verse 8.
Jeremiah chapter 25 and verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 14th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah.
Go ahead.
That was the first year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon.
Right. So this was the first year. You got to pay attention to these words. It was the first year of Nebuchadnezzar, not Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar, right? There's a lot of these different names, and we read them all as Nebuchadnezzar, but they're not. This is Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Now, just a little history on him, and I'll spell that. It's Nebuchadrezzar. So basically, Nebuchadnezzar, he was the new Babylonian king. Now, his father, who was Nabopolassar, Nabopolassar, he was the founder of the Chaldean Empire. So you had Nebuchadnezzar. He basically reigned 42 years from 604 BC to 562 BC. Okay? He was basically appointed the king of the Babylonians by his father, Nabopolassar, who was the founder of the Chaldean Empire. All right, and we're going to go into that a little bit. There's a lot of different. At this time period, you had the Chaldeans, you had the Medes, you had the Egyptians, you had Israel split, of course. So you had different wars and people, fighting for the seat. This king was wicked, so the Most High took him out of his stead, put the other king. This king was wicked and fell to the Egyptian king and served him. So there was so many different things going on, and that's what we're going to try to grasp today, is what was all going on in Israel and around Israel at the time. So Nebuchadnezzar was the new Babylonian Empire, reigned from 604 BC to 652. He was the son of Nabopolassar, founder of the Chaldean Empire. So when you hear like Babylonian, then it says, the Chaldean Empire, is basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing. All right? So y'all got that so far? Go ahead, read verse 2.
Verse 2. The which Jeremiah the prophet spake unto all the people of Judah, and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, from the 13th year of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah, even unto this day, that is the 23rd year, the word of the Lord hath come unto me, and hath spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but ye have not hearkened. And the Lord hath sent unto you all his servants the prophets, rising early and sending them.
Where are you at?
Verse 4.
Right, so that's what was going on. The Most High was constantly sending prophets. He was constantly, he sent Isaiah. He constantly sent prophets to wake Israel up, right? Out of their slumber, get away from their wickedness. We had all these different kings that were falling off. So the Most High had to send prophets to get Israel, or help Israel, warn them of their folly and get them back on track. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the Lord hath sent unto you all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them. But ye have not hearkened, nor inclined your ear to hear. Verse 5. They said, turn ye again now, every one from his evil way, and from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land that the Lord hath given unto you and to your fathers for ever and ever. 6. And go not after other gods to serve them, and to worship them, and to provoke me not to anger with the works of your hand.
Because that's what was going on. We were building temples and building altars to other gods of these other nations. We, just doing straight wickedness in Israel. The kings, they were being greedy, they were being covetous, and that's where Jeremiah. A lot of Jeremiah, he's going into the wicked pastors, right? He's going into the wicked rulers that prophesy evil, that prophesy the wrong things to get the flock. Jeremiah was going to that, but he was blasting the king at that time. He was blasting and putting in check the king of that time because he was off. He was covetous. That's what he was accusing him of. So a lot of Jeremiah, when you read it, when he goes into the world of those wicked pastors, they're greedy dogs, he was going into the rulership. Go ahead.
And I will do you no hurt. Verse 7. Yet ye have not hearkened unto me, said the Lord, that ye might provoke me to anger with the works of your hands, to do your own hurt.
Go ahead.
To your own hurt. Verse 8. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, because ye have not heard my words.
Read verse 9.
Verse 9.
So because we didn't want to hear, just like when you go through Deuteronomy 28th chapter, the 15th verse, and the Most High says, if you hearken unto my words, you'll be blessed above all nations. But if you don't want to hearken, you'll be cursed. Here's Jeremiah giving this prophecy of the Babylonian captivity. Read.
Behold, I will send and take all the families of the north.
Go ahead.
Said the Lord, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon,
go ahead,
my servant, and will bring them against this land.
Right, so he said, I'm going to take all the kings of the north, so all the countries that are around the Babylonians, because the Babylonian Empire, when you look at it, it spanned, it was a little bit inside of where Israel, and it went all the way down into that modern day Iraq, that Fertile Crescent area. So the kings of the north, that was Japhet and all those other guys, right? All these other countries that were round about. He said, I'm going to take them along with Nebuchadnezzar and these Babylonians. Go ahead.
And against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them.
Read.
And make them as an astonishment and an hissing and a perpetual desolation.
Right, so he said he's going to use these nations as well as the Babylonians to basically destroy Israel for their disobedience. So this was the prophecy. Okay, so when you read through Kings and it's like, oh, well, the Babylonians took over the Israelites or Jerusalem in Kings, 2 Kings, that was the time when Jeremiah was about. He was about 2 Kings, the 25th chapter. He was around that time frame. Okay, so we get that so far, right? That this was the prophecy that Jeremiah spoke against Israel. That Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian king, and these other kings round about him would raise up and take Israel into captivity. So now when we get into Psalms 137 and we read it, And we're not going to go there yet because we got to get a little bit more history. But when we read it now, we really fully understand, well, this is what was going on during that time. So I'm just trying to paint a little picture of just what was going on at the time, what was happening. Go to 2 Chronicles 34 and verse 1. So we're going to jump back in. It seems like we're jumping back in time because we're going back into the later or earlier chapters of the Bible, but we're really in the same time period because we're going to read about King Josiah. King Josiah was basically, when he was coming out of his reign or getting ready to die, that's when Jeremiah was starting to emerge, the prophet Jeremiah. Because when we read in Jeremiah 25 and verse 1, it said, the word came to Jeremiah concerning the people of Judah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah. So during the 4th year, 4 years after Josiah dies, Jeremiah starts prophesying. This is about they say it's about 627 BC. So just so we know that, chronologically, Jeremiah was around at this time. Read 2 Chronicles.
2 Chronicles chapter 34 and verse 1. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign.
Right.
And he reigned in Jerusalem 1 and 30 years.
Right, so he 1 and 30 years. So he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. Go ahead.
And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord.
See, the thing with Josiah was that he was a righteous king. Now there was a king before him. There was Manasseh, the son of Hezekiah, who was wicked. Manasseh, man, he was the reason why the Most High, truly, he was the reason why the Most High said that I'm going to send the Babylonians. We're going to read it. But he was so wicked, he was so off. The Most High was like, listen, it doesn't matter what Josiah does. I'm still sending the Babylonians on y'all. Go ahead, read on.
And walked in the ways of David his father, and declined neither to the right hand nor to the left.
Read.
For in the eighth year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the Most High, the power of David his father, and in the 12th year he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places.
Right, he basically started to reform Israel because we had went off. We are seeking after, remember, this is after Solomon. Solomon's temple is still around at this time. So, you know what Solomon did, right? Solomon was building up the temple of Molech, temple of Ashtoreth, temple of Baal. He built up all these other temples to these other gods. So, the other kings that came after Solomon, some of them acted like they destroyed them, but some didn't. Some didn't destroy the high places of these other gods. So through generations and through times, Israel picked up wicked and bad habits, right? We picked up bad habits, so all we did was just keep doing the folly and the iniquity of our forefathers. Go ahead.
And the groves, and the carved images, and the molten images.
Right, jump down to verse 33. And it's going to go through, if you read it, you read 2 Chronicles all the way down, it'll go through and just tell you all the different things that he did. So just for time's sake, I'm just cutting the story a little bit, but you can always go back and read it. Read verse 33.
Verse 33. And Josiah took away all the abominations out of the countries that pertaineth to the children of Israel.
Right, go ahead.
And made all that were present in Israel to serve, even to serve the Lord their power.
Read.
And all his days they departed not from following the Lord, the God of their fathers.
Right, so we're dealing with this righteous king Josiah. Now it's very important because he's going to lead into how Jehoiakim came about and how we end up in this Babylonian captivity. And it really started before Josiah. It started with Manasseh. Go to 2 Kings 23 and verse 24. 2 Kings 23 and verse 24. This is going to be more about Josiah and the wonderful works he did in the name of the Most High. 2 Kings 23 and verse 24.
2 Kings chapter 23 and verse 24. Moreover, the workers with familiar spirits, and the wizards, and the images, and the idols, and all the abominations that were spied in the land of Judah,
right,
and in Jerusalem, did Josiah put away.
Yeah, anything wicked that he saw, he destroyed it. He put it away. Go ahead.
That he might perform the words of the law which were written in the book of Hilkiah, the priest, found in the house of the Lord.
Go ahead. You're going to read the verse 37.
And like unto him was there no king before him.
Go ahead.
That he turned to the Lord with all his heart, and with all his soul, and with all his might, according to all the law of Moses. Neither after him arose there any like him.
So this King Josiah, he was a good man. He was a stand-up guy. He kept the law. He led the people with righteousness. You know, it tells you there was none before him and none like him. You know, when you go through his story, it doesn't really tell of anything that he did that was wicked or off. You had David, which was a righteous man, but we know David sinned. You had Solomon, which was the wisest king of them all, but Solomon committed folly in his end. When you read about Josiah, man, he stood in there all the way through his whole time as a king. His whole 31 years, you didn't see anything about him that was wicked. Go ahead.
Verse 26. Notwithstanding, the Lord turned not from the fierceness of his great wrath.
Go ahead.
Wherewith his anger was kindled against Judah. Because of all the provocations that Manasseh had provoked him withal.
Right, this was Manasseh, the son of Hezekiah. Hezekiah was a king. He died. Manasseh came into power. And he was, when you read about him, you got to go back into 2 Kings, the 21st chapter. We're not going to go there. But you can read about Manasseh and the filth that he was doing. And all the wickedness that he was doing. You know, it's like every other king was wicked. It was weird. Every other ruler was just off. When you look, it's like this king did wicked, but then this next king did good in the sight of the Most High. Then he died and his son did wicked. And he died and his son did good. So Manasseh happened to be one of those wicked kings. Go ahead.
Verse 27.
And his wickedness was so, it stood out so much to the Most High. He said, listen, read verse 26.
Notwithstanding, the Lord turned not from his fierceness of his great wrath.
Yeah, it said no matter what Josiah was on, no matter what righteousness, the fierceness of the Most High was there because of Manasseh. Because of his wickedness was so great. Israel had to be checked. Go ahead.
Wherewith his anger was kindled against Judah. Because of all the provocations that Manasseh had provoked him withal.
And remember, at the time, who was there? It was Judah. The 9.5 had already split. The kingdoms had already been split. 9.5 already was in the captivity of the Assyrians. And fled that. That happened in 722 BC. Right? Kingdom split. They go in the they go with the Assyrians. Fast forward through time, here we are now. So the 9.5, the majority of them weren't here dealing with this. It was just a tribe of Judah. Go ahead.
Verse 27. And the Lord said, I will remove Judah also out of my sight, as I have removed Israel, and will cast off this city Jerusalem, which I have chosen, and the house which I said, my name shall be there. 28. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah?
And they are. They are written in the Chronicles. That's what we jumped to the first time. Read on. Read verse 28 or 29.
29. In his days, Pharaoh,
Necho,
king of Egypt.
So now the story is flipping over to the king of Egypt, or the Pharaoh Necho. Go ahead.
went up against the king of Assyria to the river Euphrates.
Reading.
And King Josiah went against him.
He did what?
Went against him.
Wait, he did what?
Went against him.
See, King Josiah, this is very important. King Josiah went against the Pharaoh Necho. He went against the Egyptians. He wasn't going to get down with them. He wasn't going to let them bully him. He wasn't going to give in to them because that's what they wanted. He fought against the Egyptians. Go ahead.
And he slew him at Megiddo.
Go ahead.
When he had seen him. And his servants carried him.
So when it said he slew him, the Egyptian king slew Josiah. The Egyptians won that battle. Remember, the Most High said the wrath wasn't going to depart. So he didn't let us win that war. So Josiah got killed. Now this is how these other kings came into play. Go ahead.
And his servants carried him in a chariot dead from Megiddo.
Go ahead.
And brought him to Jerusalem and buried him in his own sepulchre. And the people of the land took
Joahaz,
the son of Josiah.
Right, so they took Joahaz. That's the tradition, right? You die, your son, he's the heir to the king. They make him king. That happened with David. That happened with Solomon. That happened with all the kings. King died. If he had a son, his son took over. In Solomon's case, it was his one son and his servant when the kingdom was split. In David's case, when he died, Solomon took over. And so on and so forth. So, same thing here. Josiah fought against Pharaoh. Pharaoh won. They appointed Josiah's son, Jehoahaz, as king. Go ahead.
And anointed him. And made him king in his father's stead.
Go ahead.
Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign.
Go ahead.
And he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem.
So he only reigned for 3 months. Go ahead.
And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah, of Libnah.
Right. Go ahead.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
You see that? So he came and he did wickedness. Read.
According to all that his father hath done.
His father. So he was doing according to the wicked forefathers. Remember, his father was righteous. He comes along and in 3 months he's like, yeah, we ain't doing none of that righteous stuff. We're going to be wicked as hell. We're going to sanctify pork and do all that, pray over it. Whatever wickedness you can think of. Read.
And Pharaoh Necho put him in bands at Riblah.
Right, so what happened is he did wickedness. So Necho came and basically battled with him and took him captive. Go ahead.
In the land of Hamath, that he might not reign in Jerusalem. And put the land to a tribute of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold.
Right, so the Pharaoh put a tribute under Israel because now this land is basically occupied by the Egyptians. Just like when they fight wars, right? When they will fight a war and take over the land, you make the land pay a tribute. You make the people pay a tax. So that's what was going on here. They had Israel paying a tax. It's either that or die. Remember on the Caesar with the Caesars, right? So it's either that or die. Now this was the sad part. Watch, read on. Read verse 34.
And Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim, the son of Josiah, king in the room of Josiah his father.
Right, so Josiah had another son named Eliakim. So he took the first son, bound him up, got him out of there, and put the other son as the king of Israel. Go ahead.
And turned his name to Jehoiakim.
And he switched his name over to Jehoiakim. This is where you get the name Jehoiakim. That's why now when you go back into Jeremiah, the 25th chapter, it said in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, this is who it's talking about. So Jehoiakim is the son of Josiah. All right, so let's read about Jehoiakim. Go ahead.
And took Jehoahaz away, and he came to Egypt and died there.
So Jehoahaz died in Egypt. Jehoiakim is now the king of Israel, but under tribute to the Pharaoh. So he's like Pharaoh's little puppet, right? He might as well have been an Egyptian. Read verse 35.
And Jehoiakim gave silver and gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give the money according to the commandment of Pharaoh.
Right, so he taxed the land and he was giving out gold and silver. That's that tribute. Read on.
He exacted the silver and gold of the people of the land, of every one according to his taxation.
Read.
To give it unto Pharaoh Necho.
Right, read on, verse 36.
Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign.
So he was 25 years old. Go ahead.
And he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem.
Right, so basically he reigned 11 years, but in his 4th year, Jeremiah emerges with this prophecy. Go ahead.
And in his mother's name was Zebudah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Ramah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done.
Right, so he did evil. So when Jeremiah was prophesying and talking about all the wicked pastors and wicked kings, he was talking about Jehoiakim. A lot of that when he was talking about their dogs, the greedy dogs, when he was going into their covetousness and robbing the people, he was talking about Jehoiakim. When you put a lot of those verses into context, Jehoiakim was the king at that time. As the king is, so are his officers. Right? As the leader of the people is, so is the people. So he was basically checking Jehoiakim. Most High sent him to check Jehoiakim to get him out of that covetousness because he was robbing the people. But now we're understanding when you go to Kings, when you go to Chronicles, and you see these prophecies that are prophesied in Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Obadiah. These prophets were at the time of Kings. They were at the time of Chronicles. They were in these times. Remember, again, we don't have the Bible. The Bible, we don't have it in chronological order. But once you put it in chronological order, you'll see like, oh yeah, Jeremiah, he's the time of 2 Kings. Isaiah, he's the time of 1 Kings, the Syrian captivity. And you can do it like that. So everybody get that? So let's go to 2 Kings 21 and verse 4. 2 Kings 21 and verse 4.
2 Kings chapter 21 and verse 4.
So what we're talking about, we're going through this Babylonian captivity, the 7 years of captivity of the Babylonian Empire. And, we throw out a few dates, who was ruling at the time, what prophet was around, what kings, how the different kings came about. All right, so we dealt with Nebuchadnezzar, right? We dealt with Nebuchadnezzar, his dad, because there was a lot of never. It was just a title. It was just a title. That wasn't their real name. Just like Caesar, just like Antiochus Epiphanes, that wasn't his real, that was a title. It meant like Antiochus Epiphanes meant like God. Antiochus Epiphanes meant I forget. It means like God's stead or something like that. They always put themselves as gods, so they put these names on themselves, just like the Nebuchadnezzars. They put these names on themselves to try to show their majesty or that they were gods in the flesh. Right? So 2 Kings 24 and verse 1. Yeah, 2 Kings 24 and 1. Right?
Yeah, that's verse 21.
24 and 1. I'm dyslexic. Like I'm
2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 1. In the days of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years.
You see that? So now Jehoiakim, he becomes the servant of Nebuchadnezzar. Go ahead.
And he turned and rebelled against him.
Right.
And the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldeans. And the bands of Syria.
Right.
And the bands of the Moabites.
Right. So now we're understanding when he said in Jeremiah 25, he's going to send all the kings of the north. This is what he was talking about. The Chaldeans, the bands of the Syrians, the bands of the Moabites, go ahead.
And the bands of the children of Ammon.
And the bands of the children of Ammon. Now, because when you read, you'll understand that all these countries had something to do with us going into the captivity of the Babylonians. They were the most powerful empire at the time, but the Most High used the Syrians, the Moabites, the Ammonites, and also the Edomites. He used Esau. We didn't get there yet. There's a nice map I got from this Bible Atlas, and it's going to show it. How Esau came up from, because you remember, Esau dwelt under Judah. In the land, you had Jerusalem, you had northern kingdom, southern kingdom. Right under that, you had the land of Edom. And Mount Shinar and Bozrah and all these, right, where Esau dwelt. So they came up from underneath us and drove us towards the Babylonians. Oh yeah, that's why Obadiah comes in and talks about it. When you stood across the other side and watch your brother be taken away, that's what that was talking about. Obadiah was prophesying about the Babylonian Empire because he was a prophet that was there for a little bit of that time. You see that? So read on.
And sent them against Judah to destroy it.
Right.
According to the word of the Lord.
Read.
Which he spake by his servants.
By his what?
By his servants.
See, plural. Go ahead.
The prophets.
Right. So it was more than one prophet that prophesied that this would happen. Obadiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Joel, the prophet. These minor prophets. You had your major prophets. You had your minor prophets. Joel also prophesied. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Surely at the commandment of the Lord came this upon Judah, to remove them out of his sight for the sins of Manasseh. The sins of Manasseh.
Right. You see how the sins of one man trickle all the way down? You had Manasseh. Then you had Josiah. Then you had Josiah's two sons. So that's 3 or 4 kings after Manasseh. The Most High was still, like he said, visiting the iniquity on the children to the 3rd and 4th generation.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. See, he let that build up, and he waited. He was like, all right, I'm going to get y'all. I ain't going to get you today. I'm going to wait. So 3, 4, 5 generations later, this Babylonian captivity comes to pass because of the sins of Manasseh, who was, again, the son of Hezekiah. Go ahead.
According to all that he did.
Right. Go to 2 Kings 25 and verse 1.
2 Kings chapter 25 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign. Right. So now this is going to go into the actual destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC. So this is where it goes down. 586 BC is the actual destruction. Remember, the Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar came about in about 606 BC. So the time goes backwards or down. 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, 1. Then it started over. 180, 280, 380, all the way to we're at 2019, right? We just don't say AD. Right.
Right. So the time was winding backwards. So 606, the Babylonians basically came into this power, this superpower. By 586 is when they actually destroyed Jerusalem, but they had us in occupation. They had us in occupation for years. They circled around the city, right? They cut off the food, they cut off the water, let people starve.
Oh yeah, eat each other.
Eating babies. You ate your own children, but the thing was, when you read in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, this is how, a lot of these curses. Go to Deuteronomy 28 real quick. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 55.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 55.
Go ahead.
So that he will not give.
Verse. Slot. Go to verse 52.
52. 52.
Right.
And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates.
Go ahead.
Until thy high and fenced walls come down.
Right. And this is what happened through all the captivities. They will besiege you, which is circle around your city. Go ahead.
Wherein thou trustedest throughout all thy land.
Uh-huh.
And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates.
Go ahead.
Throughout all thy land.
This happened during the time of the Maccabees. This happened during the time of the when Titus came through, 70 AD. It was these curses were concurring with all our captivities. It wasn't that there was one curse for one captivity, right? These curses followed us. That's why it says the curses will pursue you, because the besieging, they besieged us during the time of the Babylonians. They besieged us at 70 AD, the time of the Assyrians, because all it was them taking us from our land. To get us out, they had to circle us around, besiege us. That was the time of war. That's what you did. You cut off the land from being able to bring in food and supplies.
Yeah, you shrink them.
You shrink them down, you starve them to death. All you gotta do is just sit outside the walls. You just sit outside and wait. Right? Go ahead.
Which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Verse 53.
Uh-huh.
And thou shalt eat of the fruit of thine own body.
You should do what?
Eat the fruit of thy own body.
Go ahead.
The flesh of thy sons and thy daughters.
Right. And this happened in more than one case with us, where we were actually putting our kids in ovens and eating them because they were starving us out. It happened during the Maccabees. It happened, you read in the book of Kings, it was happening. It was happening during the Assyrian Empire, Babylonian Empire. These things were happening. So the curses weren't for just one time period or for one instance. It says it in Deuteronomy 28 and verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. Meaning they were going to follow us wherever we went. And overtake thee till thou beest destroyed. So no matter where we went, no matter what captivity, this is the things that you were going to go through. Go ahead.
Which the Most High thy power hath given thee. In the sea, in the straitness, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee.
Yeah, because the siege wasn't just one time. Again, when they sieged you or compassed you round about, that was the blueprint on how to take a city. You compass those walls. They had machines. They had actual machines that they used to knock walls down. They would have machines that went over we had the city's trough, the trough that went around the city, and you had the bridge and all that. They had a way to get past all that, man. They would sit outside and knock those walls, bang on those walls. Remember, even we did it during the walls of Jericho. But we did it how? We walked around Jericho 7 days, shouting with the Ark of the Covenant. And it said the walls would fall.
God.
Right? So we didn't have no machines that were built to batter down walls. We just had the Ark of the Covenant and the Most High. We had that power, the real power. He said, walk around and shout, and the walls will fall. Right? So, go ahead, read on.
Verse 54.
Read verse 55.
Verse 55. So that he will not give any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat.
Right, the tender, delicate man, he was going to have an evil eye towards his kids. Why? Because it's like, listen, I'm not feeding you. I need to feed myself. Or I might just fatten you up so I can have some more of you to eat. Go ahead.
Because he hath nothing left him in the siege.
Read.
In the straitness, wherewithal thine enemy shall distress thee in all thy gates.
Verse 56.
The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom.
Go ahead.
And towards her son.
Read.
And towards her daughter. And towards her young one that cometh out from between her feet. And towards her children, which she shall bear.
Read on.
For she shall eat them.
She shall what?
Eat them.
Go ahead.
For want of all things, secretly in the sea.
Yeah. It's talking about, such and such died in the war. You can lie and say your baby got killed, but you really ate him. Burn them, put them in the oven, ate them because Why? Nobody wanted to be known as a damn cannibal, and we know it was unlawful to eat flesh of the humans. So secretly they would do it. Go ahead.
And straightness, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates.
Right. So these things followed us, man, even until this time. Read back in 2 Kings 25 and verse 1.
2 Kings chapter 25 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his hosts, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it.
Right.
And they built forts against it round about.
Right. So they built tents and forts around the city. Go ahead.
And the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah.
Right. So you see, it said, in the 9th year of his reign, 10th day of the month, Nebuchadnezzar, boom, boom, boom. Right. It was besieged unto the 11th year of Zedekiah. Go ahead.
And on the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine prevailed in the city, and there was no bread for the people of the land.
Right.
And the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled by night by the way of the gate between two walls.
Right. So all the men fled. Go ahead.
Which is by the king's garden. Now the Chaldees were against the city round about, and the king went the way toward the plain. And the armies of the Chaldees pursued after the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho.
Right. So if you're understanding the way the map of Jerusalem is, you got Jerusalem, Jericho would be over here. The king ran over here to Jericho. So you got Jerusalem, you got Edom, you got Israel, you got then up here, on this side over here you got Egypt. So Jericho, he ran to the west. Go ahead.
And overtook him in the plains of Jericho.
Right.
And his armies were scattered from him.
Go ahead.
So they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon to Riblah, and they gave judgment upon him. And they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him with feathers of brass, and carried him to Babylon.
Right, and basically Zedekiah, he died in Babylon, man. They kept him there until his death. They took out his eyes, they just threw him in jail, killed his sons. So we got a little backstory, a little history on the Babylonian captivity, how it started, why it started, when it started, and how long it was, and basically who was in rulership in the different countries. Remember, you had Nebuchadnezzar, Babylonian king. You had Necho, the king of Egypt, or the Pharaoh. Then you had Jehoiakim. You had Zedekiah. You had Josiah. You had all these different kings of Israel that were in transition, either because of their wickedness or because of their valiantness. So let's go to Psalms 137. Let's go to Psalms 137.
Psalm chapter 137 in verse 1.
Now this Psalms is very popular. They make this into a song because it was a song. Now, but people did their renditions. I've heard many different renditions of this book of the Bible. People put it in plays and movies. A lot of different songs, man. The first time I ever heard it in a song, it was this reggae song. It was this reggae artist named Junior Reid. It was Junior Reid, Bounty Killer, and he was kind of singing it, humming it in the background. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat. Yeah, he made it nice. He made a real nice melody.
Yeah.
Right? He made a real nice melody, but when you go into this, man, you'll see that it's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song, but there's a lot of history behind it. Go ahead, read that.
Psalm chapter 137 in verse 1. by the rivers of Babylon. There we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion.
Right. So the rivers of Babylon. Put up that first photo. It has number 80 in the corner. Right. So, and it's she's gonna put it on the screen. This photo I got from it's the Bible Atlas. It's page 80. It's a beautiful atlas because what this does, it documents from Genesis, the first chapter, the land, all the way to, I believe, the New Testament, where it tells you where we were in the land, who occupied the land, the different divisions of the land. So you'll see here the Babylonian territory. It was vast. The Babylonian territory, man, Neo-Babylon Empire, listen, it was huge. The Babylonians controlled Assyria. They control Mount Sinai. They control parts of Egypt. They were huge, man. They controlled Ammon. They controlled Aram, the Arabian Desert, Damascus. They control all these, the whole Mediterranean Sea. They control that. So what it's going to show you is the trek that Israel took from Jerusalem to the Babylonian Empire, or the Babylonian capital, which is it was at the time Nippur. And they went along the Euphrates River. That's what it said, by the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down. Those rivers were the Euphrates, also it was the Euphrates, the Tigris, right? And it was all the other little minor rivers that were around. Yeah, the Tigris River, Euphrates,
Yeah, they all meet up right
They
there.
all meet up, right? Basically, when you look at it, this is the same little geography of the Garden of Eden, right? But see, we were supposed to go in and take all this land. We were supposed to go in and take all this land back at the time of Noah. That was supposed to be all ours. There wouldn't be no Babylonians running what was known as the known world at that time if we would have did our job. You got to see it on the map. If y'all can see it, man, that land is huge that the Babylonians control. It was huge, man. Then you have the when it tells you the nations of the north, Ammon, they were above us. You had Edom right below us. Edom was always located right under Judah, the land of Edom. Idumea. What else you had? You had, is it up there? Yeah, this is perfect. You keep that up there for a little bit. Nineveh, Ashur. You had all these different lands, but the Most High said he was going to send Assyria, Ammon, right? Moab. He was going to send the countries of the north to get us out the land. So it shows the trek. We went along the river Euphrates down into Babylonia. Y'all get that so far?
Good.
Let's jump back to the scripture. So it said we sat down, yea, we wept when we remember Zion. Go to Jeremiah 13 and verse 17. Jeremiah 13 and verse 17.
Jeremiah chapter 13 and verse 17.
Go ahead.
But if ye will not hear it, my soul shall weep in secret places for your pride.
See, we were weeping, man. We were weeping because that pride that was in us was getting checked. Go ahead.
And mine eye shall weep sore and run down with tears.
Read.
Because the Lord's flock is carried away captive.
Go ahead.
Say unto the king and to the queen, humble yourself. Sit down.
You see that? That sit down? We were being humble. He said where we sat and we wept back in Psalms by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Most High was humbling us, man. That wasn't like we was walking and we just sat by the river and kicked it. Nah, the Most High was taking us and humbling us under this nation, under this Babylonian captivity. Go ahead.
For your principality shall come down.
You see that? Because what were we doing? We were dealing with all these other principalities. We were dealing with all these other gods, all these other customs and not what the Most High wanted us to deal with. Read on.
Even the crown of your glory. This,
Right? Go to Lamentations 3:42. Lamentations 3:42. Everybody with me so far? Ken. Go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 3 and verse 42. We have transgressed and have rebelled. Thou hast not pardoned.
You see that? He said, listen, I'm not going to pardon you. He said, nevertheless, because of Manasseh, I'm going to set this nation against you. He said, we have transgressed and rebelled. Thou hast not pardoned. Go ahead.
43.
Uh-huh.
Thou hast covered with anger and persecuted us.
Read.
Thou hast slain. Thou hast not pitied.
Go ahead.
Thou hast covered thyself with a cloud that our prayers should not pass through.
Yeah, you see that? He said, listen, even the prayers can't go through. And they didn't. Most High was like, I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing the prayers of the wicked. Go ahead.
Thou hast made us as the scoffering.
Offscouring.
And refuse in the midst. Oh, yeah, this refuse.
Refuse.
And refuse in the midst of the people.
Go ahead.
All our enemies have opened their mouths against us.
Right, because all these enemies, man, Ammon, Esau, Moab, the Assyrians, they opened up their mouth. They was ready. They were ready, man. They were ready to devour. Go ahead.
Fear and a snare is come upon us. Desolation and destruction.
Go ahead.
Mine eyes runneth down with rivers of water for the destruction of the daughters of my people.
Yeah, read.
Mine eye is trickled down.
My eye trickleth down.
My eye trickleth down. And ceaseth not.
Right.
Without any intermission.
Right. So when it said where we wept, that wasn't a weep like a weeping. That was a damn bawling. Like, Lord, why? Save us, help us.
He said a river.
That was rivers, man. We was sitting there begging the Most High to bring us back into Jerusalem. When they was carrying us on that train to Babylonian, bro, we were begging, man. We were praying, Lord, we'll do better, we'll do good. Most High said he covered himself with a cloud. I'm not hearing that. But think about it. It's just like today, man. It's just like being in modern day Babylon, modern day Egypt, right? All the wickedness that Israel is into. The Most High is like he's covering his ears to the cry of the wicked. He's covering his ears, man, and not listening to the God, why did my baby get shot? God, why us? Well, why you? Because you chose to side with the Babylonians. Just like these wicked kings, you're like, yeah, we want to be servant to Babylon. We want to be servant to Egypt. So the Most High said, okay, well, Egypt's going to be your shame.
Yeah, we want to serve their idols.
We want to serve their idols. We want to sell out for the money, cars, clothes. We're going to sell out for those things. So guess what? I'm not going to be your power. Go ahead, read on.
Till the Lord look down and behold from heaven. My eye affecteth my heart because of all the daughters of my city.
Right. Go ahead. Go to Jeremiah 8:21. Jeremiah 8:21, then jump back to Psalms 137. So basically, just throwing some precepts into this psalm so we can get a better understanding. And then we're going to relate it to today. We're going to relate this psalms to what's going on today with us, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing when they carried us in slavery on these ships. We were saying the same thing, man. We was trying to pray to the Most High. We was begging. We was crying. Why God? Why us?
Save us.
Save us. Swing low, sweet chariot. All that. Read Jeremiah 8:21.
Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 21. For the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt.
Go ahead.
I am black.
You see that? He said, for the hurt of the daughter of my people, I'm hurt. Jeremiah saw what was going on. He prophesied it first and foremost. Then he had to see it. Go ahead. What's that?
Yeah, right there when it said I am black, not only is like talking about skin, it's like talking like he in a dark place. Like.
Right, the condition.
Right.
Yeah. I'm black. I'm dead, man. I'm at loss of life. Go ahead.
Astonishment had taken hold on me.
Right, because Jeremiah had to sit back and see these things, man. He was like, wow. Because Jeremiah was taken captive also, along with Baruch, his scribe. When you read about the book of Baruch was Jeremiah's scribe. Baruch was sent to the king. He was sent to Jehoiakim at one point. And there was more than one Baruch in the Bible. There was 3. But the Baruch you read about in the Apocrypha, and then the Baruch you read about in Jeremiah, the same Baruch. Jump back to Psalms 137 and verse 2. So read verse 1 more time.
Psalm chapter 137 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down.
Right, so by the rivers of Babylon, we were humbled. Most High humbled us, broke us down, took us out of took that wicked power away from us. Go ahead.
Yeah, we wept.
Yeah, we cried and bawled and, God, why? Please no. Don't do it. Go ahead.
When we remembered Zion.
Yeah, because we sat back and we remembered Zion like, man, remember when we were sitting at the crib? Mm-hmm. It's like when a cat go to jail and he's sitting back thinking like, man, I miss my girl. Mm-hmm. I miss that that one dish she used to make. I miss her touch. Right? You was sitting back remembering all the good that the Most High gave us. Reminiscing on what you used to have. That'd make any man cry. You sitting there reminiscing, man, of all the good, all the beautifulness, reminiscing on the temple. Remember, at this time, Solomon's temple, this is what the Babylonians went in there and raided. When you read about Solomon's temple, it was laid. Gold, everything. It said he spared not. He didn't even count the gold. Everything was overlaid in gold spoons and plates and chalices and cups. Mm-hmm. And what did the Babylonians do? They took that and they had their damn servants and their little whores drinking out of those cups. One of the Babylonian kings was like, yeah, bring the vessels of the temple so we can drink out of them. Mm-hmm. Defile the vessels, man. It wasn't made for any other nation to drink out of. Those were the vessels of the service.
Done.
Right? But they were using them as just like damn paper cups. Like, oh yeah. Golden cup, huh? Right? And then just tossing it to the side. Using and abusing what the Most High gave us. So when we saw that, we sat back and we reminisced, and we were looking at the goodness of how the Most High treated us and how wicked we were. Go to verse 2.
Verse 2. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof.
Now, when you understand about the Babylonian area and the Euphrates, it was lined with willow trees.
God.
But you got to really think about this. When they took us out of Jerusalem, they just let us walk out with harps.
Wow.
Hell nah. It wasn't like, oh yeah, grab the harp. Don't forget that.
Anything else you want to grab?
Yeah, what else you want to grab? No, this was letting us know that. Well, we'll read it. Read verse 2 one more time and go to Ezekiel 26 and 13.
We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof.
Right? Go to Ezekiel 26 and 13. See, all this was prophesied. All this was prophesied that these things would happen. Read that, Ezekiel 26, 13. If I'm going too fast, slow me down.
Ezekiel chapter 26 and verse 13.
Go ahead.
I will cause the noise of thy song to cease.
Right, he said, I will cause the noise of your songs to cease. Because who will be singing songs when they being taken into captivity? Remember, one of the things we did do, we sung. We sung songs. We used the harp. We used string instruments to praise the Most High and to prophesy. He said, I will do what?
And I will cease the noise of thy songs.
Read.
Excuse me. And I will cause the noise of thy songs to cease.
Go ahead.
And the sound of thy harps shall be no more heard.
Go to Isaiah 24 and 8. Go to Isaiah 24 and verse 8.
Isaiah chapter 24.
So there was not going to be no more joy in us, man. When you look at it, there was not going to be no more joy that that the way we praise the Most High, that wasn't going to be in us. Because why? You're going to be captive. They're going to be beating your back. They're going to be beating you, whooping you, killing you, putting you down. So you ain't going to have time to sing songs. Go ahead.
The mirth of tabrets.
Tabrets
ceased.
Right, the joy of the tabrets. That was an instrument that we used. Go ahead.
The noise of them that rejoice ended.
You see that? The noise of them that rejoice endeth. Read.
The joy of the harp ceased.
Read. Go to Jeremiah 7:34. See, all these things were going to end because this captivity, and remember, this is in the time of Isaiah. Isaiah's time is he's part of, or in the time of the Assyrian captivity. So, but those same things happened in Assyria. When you was in Assyria, you wasn't playing harps to the Most High.
No.
And banging the tabrets and playing the harp. They were like, nigga, get to work. Just like here in America. Just like here in America, it's sad though, it's different because they'll have you doing hip hop. They'll have you rapping, right? They'll have you doing music, but what is the music about? Is it to praise the Most High? And then when you do you get recognition? Hell no. Ain't nobody, there ain't no Hebrew rap awards, but there's the rap awards for Nicki Minaj and for her to show her ass, right? And for The Weeknd to have nappy hair and for Future to rap about drugs. They'll award that. But when you try to speak about the Most High in the rap, they're like, yeah, we don't want to hear that. That don't sell. But they know that's how we used to praise the Most High. Read Jeremiah 7:34.
Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 34. Then I will cause to cease from the cities of Judah and from the streets of Jerusalem
Read.
The voice of mirth.
Yeah, that voice of joy. That joy in the streets. You know when you go, man, you know some of y'all ain't old enough. But I remember when I reminisce on back in the days when I was in New York, when we actually used to just play and have fun and not kill each other, like during the summer. During the summer, man, you remember the first thing you heard, ice cream truck. Right? You had the little chicks off to the side, like when you step out your building. See, I'm going into reminisce mode. Step out my building, and on the side of the little court, you got chicks doing the double dutch, right? A little hopscotch. You had the fire hydrant going, so Cass was doing that. And you just walk down the block, and all you see is just kids out having fun. And then you hear the ice cream, Mr. Softy, he's spinning around the block. You know, you heard the music. It's the same music. I butchered it. But you had, you walk in, hey, what's up with everybody? Then you walk over to the park where everybody's playing ball. It's just filled with people. Everybody chilling. Everybody it was all kids. Having a good time. It was that myrrh. It was that mirth, that joy. But even that, in this America, in this time, that's starting to cease. During, what was the last holiday that just passed? Memorial. They shot up a park with a bunch of kids in it out there in New York. They shot up a park with a bunch of kids. So now that joy been gone from us, man. Isn't that we try to reestablish it with every place we go to? We try to reestablish that joy because technically and naturally we're a joyful people, right? We are a joyful people. We get around each other. We like to be around one another. We'll make a little bit out of a lot out of a little bit, right? No matter what, all you need is some cars and some dominoes, and the Negro will have fun.
That's right.
Make sure there's a couple of brews on the grill.
Little barbecue.
Yeah, we in there. We'll turn anything into fun because naturally, that mirth, that joy is in us. But it's been taken out because of the way these nations deal with us. And then in turn, it flips on how we deal with one another. Now it is that evil eye towards his brother. It is that evil eye towards his sister. Why are you looking at my woman? Why you step on my shoe? Why you talk to me that way? Why you looking at me that way? All because of how we've been dealt with through time. So he said, read verse 34.
And the voice of gladness.
And
the voice of the bridegroom.
Right.
And the voice of the bride.
Read.
For the land shall be desolate.
Right, and at that time the land was desolate. If you didn't understand that this Babylonian rulership of 70 years, there was 3 different exiles. They came in 3 different times and took people 3 different times. It wasn't just one big exile. They went in 3 times and took us out the land 3 times. Go to Amos 8:10. Amos chapter 8 and verse 10.
Amos chapter 8 and verse 10. And I will turn your feast into mourning.
Read, I will do what?
Turn your feast into mourning.
Yeah, to the point where we forgot the feasts. We left off of the Most High's feast days. Go ahead.
And all your songs into lamentation.
Read.
And I will bring up sackcloth upon your loins, and baldness upon every head.
Right, that baldness. Why would we go bald? We was mourning death. Right? Go ahead.
And I will make it as the mourning of an holy son.
Of an only son.
Holy son.
Think about that. Think about when Pharaoh's son got killed in the Passover. How they said the screams and the cries. He said, I will make it like the mourning of your only son. Imagine if your only child died, how you would mourn, how you would feel. Mm-hmm. You'd be crushed. Go ahead.
And the end thereof as a bitter day.
Right, so go back to Psalms 137 and verse 2. What's that?
I have like a really simple definition of lamentation.
What you got?
The passionate expression of grief or sorrow.
Right, and that's what it was. It said, I'll turn your songs into sorrow. I will turn your songs into lamentations, grief. That's what was going on. So we weren't singing praises of joy. Man, we were we were sorrowful, man, and sorry. Like we repent. Too late. You're about 4 or 5 generations too late.
Oh yeah, that's like
you about 4.
That's like that. That's like that Proverbs 1 when he said, when your fear and desolation cometh as a whirlwind.
Mock. I would laugh at your calamities. Mm-hmm. Most High was up there laughing like, told y'all. Even now, he was laughing at our calamities, man. When you look at it and you parallel what's going on with Israel now and Israel back then, it's the same thing. Except for now, there's this reawakening of Israel. We're waking up to who we are. We've been asleep for so long. The sad part is, you know why I had to come down so hard on them? They knew who they were. They knew who they were. They knew what they were supposed to be doing. At least us waking up, we didn't know. We didn't know who the hell we were. So coming back, we still getting checked. But we're coming back instead of actually knowing, like, I was supposed to be doing this, but I'm going to do something else. So the butt whooping is a little bit different.
Kind of like on that coming back. And people, they choose not to read the Bible, they choose not to study, they choose not to follow the Most High. I always say, absence of the law, ignorance of the law is not absence of the law.
Yep.
It's still there, you still get checked for it, even if you don't know it.
That's what the scriptures say. He that knew of his master's will and did it not got beaten with few stripes. Mm-hmm. So whether you knew or not, it was still going to be a whooping. Go to 2 Kings. Go to Psalms 37 and verse 3.
Psalm chapter 37 and verse 3.
Read verse 2.
Verse 2. We hanged our harps upon the willows.
Right, so all the singing and joy and mirth, that was gone. Read.
In the midst thereof.
Read.
For there they that carried us away captive.
Right, so verse 3. For there they that carried us away captive, the Babylonians, the Edomites, the Assyrians, the Moabites, the Ammonites, these different nations, go ahead.
Required of us a song.
Man, you got to think about when you really, when I was going through this and I was like, damn, these niggas was garbage. Because they were basically mocking us.
Yeah.
Like, man, go ahead and sing us one of those temple songs. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and sing us one of those hymns. Right? They were mocking us. Because what man is going to want to sing anything when he's being oppressed?
God.
But guess what it's like? It's like, yeah, go ahead and sing and dance and entertain me.
Yeah.
That's what they do to us now. Go ahead and play my sports, right? Go ahead and be a basketball player, be a football player. Go ahead and entertain us. We know,
Be my gesture.
Yeah, be my court gesture. Be the clown. But that's what they do to us, but now they throw you a little what? A little change. They throw you a couple million. But that doesn't appease what's going on. The fact that they're making a mockery.
You know, that reminded me of, I don't know if y'all seen this movie, but the 5 Heartbeats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when they got pulled over by the cops, and it's like, oh, y'all's a singing group, huh? Why don't y'all sing something?
Yeah.
And they had to sing right there for the police so they don't get arrested.
Yeah, man, they made a mockery of us. You were gonna say something.
Like when Yahushua was about to get crucified and whipped and all that.
Yeah, they were mocking him. What they say? Prophesy to us. Who smote you?
Yeah, he smited you.
Yeah, who? Tell us. Prophesy. Tell us who hit you. But see, it was a mockery. It was a mockery that they were carrying out on the people. Yeah, go ahead and sing one of them songs, man. Sing, man. We want to hear these beautiful temple songs, because the temple songs that we did sing, they were basically world renowned. Those were like real. We're gonna see. We're gonna read it. So it said, for they that carried us away captive required of us a song. Go to 2 Kings 24 and verse 11. 2 Kings 24 and verse 11. So we read 2 Kings 24 and verse 1 down to about 6. So go to 2 Kings 24 and verse 11. I said, like I told you, it was a lot of reading. There was a lot of reading, but we got to go through some of this history, man. We got to go. I'm gonna start going through these captivities so we could be more aware of what was going on and who was around and things like that. Read 2 Kings 24 and verse 11.
2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 11. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and his servants did besiege it.
Go ahead.
And Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother and his servants and his princes and his officers. And the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign.
Go ahead.
And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord.
So you see that? He took all the treasures of Solomon. All the treasures of the temple. Because at the time, that was Solomon's temple that was standing. Go ahead.
And the treasures of the king's house.
Right.
And cut in pieces all the vessels of gold which Solomon, king of Israel, had made in the temple of the Lord.
Go ahead.
As the Lord hath said. And he carried away all Jerusalem and all the princes and all the mighty men of valor. Even 10,000 captives.
Think about how big Babylon had to be to take away 10,000 captives at this time. All the mighty men, all the men of valor. But it shows you how mighty they were without the Most High. Didn't matter. Most High wasn't with you, you weren't going to win. He wasn't about the numbers. He wasn't about your strength. He was about were you serving him. Go ahead.
And all the craftsmen and smiths, none remaineth, save the poorest sort of the people of the land.
Right.
And he carried away Jehoiachin to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and all his officers.
Wait, the king's wife?
The king's wives.
Because he had more than one. Go ahead.
And his officers.
Read.
And the mighty of the land. Those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon.
Read.
And all the men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths 1,000. All that were strong and apt for war.
Think about it. Think about how, if these men were strong and apt for war, how strong had the Babylonians had to be? How much power did the Most High have to put in the Babylonians' hands to go in and take them?
I'm going to say none. Because, I mean, if Most High already, you know what I'm saying, delivered somebody into their hand, they ain't got to do that.
But they were strong. The Babylonians were strong. They had a far reach. I mean, just the lands that they had, if you look at that map, they were out there. And then to have these other, it wasn't just the Babylonians. They had the allies too. They had the Ammonites. They had Esau. They had Moab. They had Assyria. So they basically rule the whole country, that whole part of the country. So they were strong. Go ahead.
Even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon.
Right, go to Psalm 79 and verse 1. Psalm 79 and verse 1.
Psalm chapter 79 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
O Yahweh, the heathen are come into thine inheritance.
Read.
Thy holy temple have they defiled.
Because they did defile it. Every time they destroyed it, it wasn't like, oh, we're just going to blow it up. No, they went in there and they defiled the temple. They touched the holy things. They profaned it. When you read about Antiochus and his men, the Greeks, the Romans, they went in there, they were dealing with women in the temple, having sex, sacrificing defiled animals on the altar. The Babylonians did the same things. They didn't care about our customs. They didn't care about our tradition. Go ahead.
They have laid Jerusalem on heaps.
Uh-huh.
The dead bodies of thy servants have they given to be meat unto the fowls of heaven.
Yeah, man. They just left us there. No burial, no nothing. Let the birds pick out. Go ahead.
The flesh of thy saints unto the beasts of the field.
Read.
Of the earth. Their blood have they shed like water round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them.
Read on.
We are become a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us. How long, O Lord, wilt thou be angry forever? Shall thy jealousy burn like fire?
Right. So again, asking how long? Well, it didn't last. Obviously, the Babylonian captivity didn't last forever. It only lasted 70 years. Right? But then we went off again and went into another captivity. Then went off again and went into another captivity. Go back to Psalms 130. But Psalms 137. Did they unplug it out there? I think they did. Go back to Psalms 137.
Come on.
Baby.
Psalms 137.
Read verse 3.
And verse 3.
Uh-huh.
For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song.
Right.
And they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, Sing us one of the songs of Zion.
What verse you at?
Verse 4.
Read. So go to 2 Chronicles 29 and verse 27. We're going to get into these songs. The importance of these songs. Hello? 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 Do me a favor. It was unplugged? Wow. It's on?
Oh, change
Might not be
that
on the
input.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Jeremiah, can you get that 2 Chronicles 29, 27?
Done, sir. The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 29, verse 27.
Right.
And Hezekiah commanded to offer the burnt offering upon the altar.
Right. Now Hezekiah was a righteous king. One more. You gotta turn the volume up. He was a righteous king. He did what?
Offer upon the altar.
Right.
And when the burnt offering began,
go ahead.
The song of the Most High began.
You see that? It said the songs of the Most High began because we sung when we were doing those burnt offerings. Go ahead.
Also with the trumpets.
Also with the what?
The trumpets.
Read.
And with the instruments ordained by David, king of Israel.
Go to 1 Chronicles 15 and 16. So these songs that they were mocking us and asking us to sing were concurrent with the way we praise the Most High. We actually had priests that were in charge of the songs. Like when you read a lot of these songs, Asaph, he was the chief Levite priest in charge of the music. ASAP means to gather, the gatherer, right, in Hebrew. So when you read it, it says, Psalms 140, to the chief musician, a psalm of David. These were songs and poems that the chief musicians were putting music to. You see that? So a lot of these songs were sung because music was very important. Go to Chronicles, 1 Chronicles 15:16.
Book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 15 and verse 16.
Uh-huh.
And David spake to the chief of the Levites
Uh-huh.
to appoint their brethren to be the singers.
To be the what?
The singers.
Come on.
With instruments of music.
Right, so we did do instruments of music and sing. Read.
Psalteries.
Go ahead.
And harp.
Read.
And cymbal.
Read.
Sounding.
Uh-huh.
By lifting up the voice with joy.
Jump to verse 27.
Verse 27. And David was clothed with a robe of fine linen.
Uh-huh.
And all the Levites that bear the ark. And the singers
Uh-huh.
of Shebaniah.
Read.
The master of the song with the singers.
We have master singers, man. Master composers. Read.
David also had upon him an ephod of linen.
Come on, read on, verse 28.
Thus all Israel brought up the ark of the covenant of the Most High with shouting.
With what?
With shouting.
Go ahead.
And with sound of the cornet. And with trumpets.
Uh-huh.
And with cymbals. Making a noise with psalteries and harps. And it came to pass, as the ark of the covenant of the Most High.
That's it on that. So, you see, we sung, man. We had chief musicians. We had chief composers. And these were the Levites. This was one of the office of the Levites. Was to be singers. Now, the sad part is, what they do in church. They be singing, but they'll do more singing in church than they do actual teaching. They'll let the singing take more precedence. Right? We got the praise team, we got the choir. They got all these different teams of singers, but the actual prophesying and teaching takes a back door. Now the Babylonians knew that this was part of what we did towards the Most High. They mocked us. Man, sing us one of those temple songs. Sing us that song that y'all was singing in the temple the other day. We heard it. When they were gathered round about us, the ones that were righteous, the ones that were praising the Most High, they heard these songs, man. So they're like, oh yeah, man, sing that song, bro. What you got? Be my clown. Right? But they make you sing garbage rap. Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. Molly Percocet. They got you singing that foolishness. These hoes ain't loyal and things like that. They have us singing just like no different. Now they got us actually singing because we love it. We love to be the entertainers and the court jesters and the fools. So we'll sing the foolishness that they want us to sing. All them record industries, man, all them record corporations is owned by the Khazar Jews. They run that. You singing about anything righteous, they ain't playing that. You can't go to Interscope record like, here's my Hebrew music. They look at you, they're like, nigga, what the hell is you talking about? Where's that gangster rap at? Where's that F the police, kill my brother, shoot him in the face, rape your woman? Where's that at? We want that. We want the rap about you selling keys and pushing drugs. We don't want to hear about nothing righteous. So they'll make you sing songs, but what is it to degrade our people? But back then they were mocking, man. Sing one of them temple songs. Sing those songs y'all sung to the Most High. See if he's gonna save you. They knew Most High was not with us. Go to 1 Chronicles 13:6.
1 Chronicles chapter 13 and verse 6.
Go ahead.
And David went up, and all Israel, to Baalah, that is, to Kirjath Jearim, which belongeth to Judah.
Go ahead.
To bring up thence the ark of the Most High, the Lord.
Right, this is when the Most High put David in charge of the ark to move it to this land of this city in Judah. Go ahead.
That dwelleth between the cherubims, whose name is called on it.
Go ahead.
And they carried the ark of the Most High and a new cart out of the house of Abinadab,
Uh-huh.
and Uzzah, and Ahio drave the cart. And David and all Israel played before the Most High with all their might.
With all their what?
With all their might.
Read.
And with singing.
And with what?
And with singing.
See, they were singing with all their might. Read.
And with harps.
Go ahead.
And with the psalteries.
Read.
And with the
timbrels.
Uh-huh. And with the cymbals.
Uh-huh.
And with trumpets.
Go to 1 Chronicles 1:25. I can bring out a lot of singing scriptures, man. Because this is what we did. The heathen knew this is what we did. But they try to use this as a mockery. Sing that song, see if the Most High gonna save you. What's up?
You know, a lot of times they want us to, they use the singing as mocking, because when we sung, it was mostly when we were conquering nations.
Yeah.
But so now we're captive.
It's like,
mimicking us.
yeah, it's like, go ahead and sing, see if you're gonna get some power from that. Yeah. They knew what that singing did, but see, it wasn't that random, it wasn't mumble rap. We weren't mumble rapping or singing about our boo, right? We weren't singing R&B and crap like that. We were actually singing praise to the Most High. Read 1 Chronicles 25 and verse 1. It wasn't the weekend out there talking about his voice is the sound of an angel. Nah, bro. Nobody cared about that. Go ahead and read.
1 Chronicles chapter 25 and verse 1. Moreover, David and the captains of the host separated into the service of the sons of Asaph, and of Haman, and of Jeduthun, who should prophesy with harps.
Wait, they should do what?
Prophesy with harps.
So you prophesy with the harps. Go ahead.
With psalteries. And with cymbals.
Read.
And the number of the workmen according to their service was.
Read verse 6.
Verse 6. All these were under the hand of their fathers for song in the house of the Lord.
See, it was talking about all the Levites. They were under their father's rule, under that office. Go ahead.
With cymbals. Psalteries.
Psalteries, go ahead.
And harps. And service of the house of the Most High, according to the king's order to
Asaph.
To Asaph.
See, Asaph is the same brother you read about in Psalms. Asaph was the chief musician. So when you read to the chief musician, when you read, I'm gonna find it. It'll say a song of Asaph.
God, I remember seeing it.
Yeah, I believe Psalms 91. Let's see here. Psalms 119. I'm gonna find one. See, my Bible has like little cheats. Like this will say a psalm of David. A song or psalm of David to the chief musician. That was Asaph. Trying to find one, man. This whole book of Psalms were just songs. Where's it at? I'm gonna find one. Prayer of Moses. Oh, check this out. Like Psalms 88. It says a song or psalm for the sons of Korah. Korah and Dathan, right? They were Levites. To the chief musician upon Mahalath. Leonath, Mishkilah of Heman. Heman was one of the Levites that was in charge of the music. The Ezrahite, right? I'm gonna find one.
Like, you know, most of all the 80 scriptures.
Right, I found one. Psalms 83, a song or song of Asaph. You see that? Asaph was a chief musician of the Levites. Go to 2 Chronicles 5 verse 12. So these heathen, man, they knew it. They knew it, and they were basically mocking us when it said, sing us one of those songs. They required of us a song, but how can we sing the king's song in a strange land? We can't. That's why we sing rap. That's why we sing R&B. That's why we sing doo-wop and blues and jazz. That's why we singing all these other songs Because again, naturally, it was in us to be singers and songwriters and dancers and go ahead, what's up?
That's why he tells us to like sing songs on our beds.
Right.
Like to the Most High.
Right.
You ain't even do it for entertainment, but you're gonna make sure it's special for me.
You're gonna do it for me. Because that's what we all did as a whole. Right? Read that. 2 Chronicles 5:12.
2 Chronicles chapter 5 and verse 12.
Go ahead.
Also, the Levites, which were the singers.
They were the what?
The singers.
Right, because remember, Judah consisted of Judah, Benjamin, half tribe of Levites. So the Levites were there. They were the singers. Read.
All of them of Asaph.
You see that? A song of Asaph. Go ahead.
Of Heman.
Of Heman. Go ahead.
Of
Judathan.
Judathan.
Go ahead.
With their sons and their brethren, being arrayed in white linen, having cymbals and psaltery.
Go ahead.
And harps. Stood at the east end of the altar.
Read.
And with them 120 priests.
How many?
120 priests.
Go ahead.
Sounding with trumpets.
Read verse 13.
It came even to pass, as the trumpets and singers were singing as one, to make one sound to be heard in playing, in praising, and thanking the Lord.
They made one sound to be heard in praising and thanking the Most High. Go ahead.
And when they lifted up their voice with the trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music,
read,
and praised the Lord, saying, for he is good,
read,
for his mercy endureth forever. That then the house was filled with a cloud.
Wait, it said the what?
Even then the house was filled with a cloud.
So I said when we sung with the music, when we lifted up our voices, it said the house was filled with a cloud. Go ahead.
Even the house of the Lord.
Read.
So that the priests could not stand to minister by reason of the cloud.
Go ahead.
For the glory of the Lord hath filled the house of the Most High.
See, the Babylonians were trying to mock this. They were basically like, where's your Lord? Where's your power? Go ahead, bring them down, sing.
Yeah.
You got to see it, man. They mocked us just like now. Oh, y'all are real Jews, huh? Will you circumcise on the 8th day? Show me. They'll say that to you, these damn faggots. They'll say that. Prove it. Prove that. They try to make a mockery of everything that we do, but they know where our power lies. But just in this Psalms, go back to Psalms 137. Read verse 3. One more time. Make sure you bookmark this bookmark. Psalms 137, bookmark. Read that.
Psalm chapter 137 and verse 3.
Go ahead.
For there they that carry us away captive required of us a song.
Yeah, man, they were basically like, listen, bring your power down. Let him save you. Sing to him and see if he's going to come save y'all. Read.
And they that wasted us required of us mirth.
Yeah, like how you going to waste the people and then require joy out of them? It's like now they waste our people. They're like, oh, let's just all get along.
Right.
Let's just all hold hands and be happy. I don't give a damn about getting along. I could care less about getting along with these nations. That's not my first agenda and motive. The Bible does say be at peace with all men. But if I can avoid you, I just avoid you. I'd rather get along with my people. It's hard enough to do that without the nations trying to interfere and interject some hatred or some type of grudging into our people. It's hard enough, man. So, bro, I'll always prefer my people first. Go ahead.
Sing us one of the songs of Zion.
Right. Sing us one of them temple hymns. One of them powerful temple songs. Go ahead.
How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?
Well, Lamentations 5:14. There was no way for us to do it. We couldn't sing the Lord's song in a strange land. This is why. Lamentations 5:14.
Lamentations chapter 5 verse 14.
Go ahead.
The elders have ceased from the gate.
Read.
The young men from their music.
Yeah, man. The elders have ceased. They wiped us out. They wasted us. Go ahead.
The joy of our heart is ceased. Our dance is turned into mourning.
Read.
The crown is fallen from our heads.
Yeah, man, that glory, that majesty, is gone. The thrill is gone, man. We trying to dust off the crown though. We've been trying to shine the crown up, get the tarnish off, right? The crown been buried for a while. So slowly but surely we're cleaning the crown up. How you get gold untarnished? Clean it with Coca-Cola? I don't know. Barnet, brass cleaner, whatever. But fire, right? We get purged. Go ahead.
Woe unto us that we have sinned.
Read.
For this our heart is faint.
Yeah, man, now we weep and we mourn. Read on.
For these things our eyes are dim.
Read.
Because of the mountain of Zion, which is desolate.
Right.
The foxes walk upon it.
Yeah, man, these nations, man, they walking all through Israel. These devourers, these rebels, these vultures, man, these scavengers. They all have been in our land, destroying it. But most importantly, they're around about us, destroying us. Go back to Psalms 137 and verse 5.
Psalm chapter 137 and verse 5. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem.
So now the when you read in this Psalms, the writer, he's switching tempo. Right? He was basically talking about what was going on in Babylon and what they wanted us to do. Now he's reminiscing on Jerusalem. Go ahead.
If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning.
Yeah, man. Basically, if I forget Jerusalem, let my right hand wither. Let the strength and power go from me. Go ahead.
If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth.
Read.
If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy.
Yeah, you know what that's saying? Basically, if I forget Jerusalem, let me forget the songs, let me forget the strength, the majesty, the power. Go ahead.
Remember, O Yahweh.
That's it. So he said, if I prefer not Jerusalem, but we about to turn up. We about to turn up.
Let's get it.
He said, but if I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. That's why Matthew 6 and 33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Because that was where our mind was supposed to be. Go to Psalms 84 and verse 10. See, this is what we were sitting back and reminiscing on Jerusalem. Like, man, how great it was to be there. How great it was to have our temple. How great it was to just come and go as we pleased. Man, remember them days of Solomon when it was just all peace?
Yes.
Some of them were old enough to remember that. They were sitting back like, damn, man, we was just chilling. We just had 40 years of peace. I remember them good. How do we do it now in America? I remember them days when Clinton was in power, right? Cassie trying to act like Clinton was like, man, there was jobs and this and that. Man, that's a facade. But that's what America does. They're like, man, them good old days of Clinton. I wish we could go back to that. And they trying to relive the glory. Man, the 50s and 60s. I remember when gas was $1.
Right.
I remember when I started driving gas, it was like 88 cents. I was still running out of gas. I don't know how I did it.
Right.
I was still breaking down the side with no gas. Gas was 88 cents a gallon. Right? Damn, you could buy you a pair of Jordans like them J's you got on your feet. I bought those for $100, brand new out of Finish Line. I go back to all the prices. Movies was like $5.
Yep.
And not no just matinee.
It was $3.
I'm talking about the straight nighttime movie. $5.
It was $3.50 for the matinee.
Yeah. Popcorn was like $7, and you got a lot. You got that big bucket all the time.
Yeah.
Come on, remember when canned soda was 25 cents? Come on, man. You get you a bag of Doritos for 25 cents out any store. Get the little Debbie cakes, 25 cents.
Yeah.
Quarter water, 25 cents. You get you a whole hero sandwich. It's like $5 with the drink and everything.
Right.
Now everything has just changed, but you sit back and reminisce like, damn, man, I remember that. But that's what we were doing when we was in Babylon. Damn. But you know what was crazy? When we was in the wilderness, what were we doing? We was reminiscing about Egypt. It's terrible. Like, damn, I remember the flesh pots. Remember them leeks and onions?
Garlic.
That garlic, it was so yummy. It was scrumptious. Scrumptious.
Scrumptious.
Right? But now the Most High set us up and we was living good. But then our wickedness, man, took us off. Now we sitting back reminiscing. Like, man, let me not forget Jerusalem. Go to Psalms 84 and verse 10.
Psalm chapter 84 and verse 10. For a day in thy courts is better than 1,000.
You see that? For one day in the courts is just better than 1,000 regular. Go ahead.
I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my power.
Read.
Than to dwell in the tents of wickedness.
Go to verse 11.
For the Lord my power is the sun and shield.
Read.
The Lord will give grace and glory. No good thing will he withhold from them that walk uprightly.
You see that? No good thing will he withhold, man. When we was walking upright, the Most High had us on 10. When Solomon was doing his thing in his glory and was walking upright, come on, man. There was no better kingdom. We were still living off some of the glory days of Solomon. But obviously through time, we start going off and one king tried to revive it and reform, right? And we got back to doing good. But the wickedness was so great, the Most High was like, get them out of here. Go to Psalms 137. So now, and when you read Psalms 137, start at verse 1. What it is saying, listen, this is how the captivity went. We got taken. We went through the Euphrates. We went through the Tigris. Right? This is how they brought us. This is what they did to us while we were here. And you gotta understand, man. It ain't just sing us a song. They were raping our women. They were beating us. They were killing us. They were doing all these things. Psalms 137 gives you a brief synopsis. But then the beautiful thing is this. Verse 7. Start at verse 1.
Psalms 137 and verse 1. By the rivers of Babylon, we sat down. Yeah, we wept.
Right.
When we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth.
Go ahead.
If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy.
Read.
Remember, O Yahweh, the children of Edom.
The who?
The children of Edom.
Even though he was praying, he was like, listen, remember the children of Edom, because they did this. Remember the Babylonians, because they did this. Read on.
In the day of Jerusalem, who said, arise, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
Burn it down. Burn, baby, burn, burn. Go to Lamentations 4:21. He said, remember Edom. Remember Edom in the day when they said, raise it, raise it. Now, we're going all the way back to 600 BC. We're going back thousands of years ago, and Esau was wicked as hell. Right? They were wicked as hell to Israel. And then fast forward to 2020, and look at the way Esau deals with us now. Look at how a cop will pull over a black man, a white cop will pull over a black man, yell gun, 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 so he can shoot him, even though he ain't got no gun in his hand. And then when he sees that he's being recorded, his whole tune changes. Or how they'll pull up. I seen one the other day. The cop was elbow striking the car with his bare elbow. Bow, bow, busting the window out, pulled Judah out the car, and they figured out that it was the wrong guy they got. Or how they beat some 17-year-old the other day. It was the wrong guy. They beat this dude's face. He looked like Emmett Till. He lived. His face, I'm talking about one side of his face was so swollen. you got to think about the perpetual hatred that this man has had for us. He said, remember Edom. Bro, it's not just in the Babylonian time. Edom is going to be remembered for all time. So for all you Edomite lovers out there that want to save Esau, this is why it ain't going to happen. And for all you damn Edomites that you wanna act like this ain't you and this ain't your people, you got another thing coming, man. A lot of y'all got some nerve and some cojones on you because of the way y'all act and the way y'all deal. And us as very prideful. But that's one of their main characteristics. That's how you know who they are. They're just like their father. They're just like their forefathers. So this is why Esau, as we know in the scriptures, Esau has no repentance. They have no place for repentance. We're going to read why. Read Lamentations 4:21. So I enjoyed putting this part of the class together. I enjoyed all of it. When I was getting to these scriptures, I was like, oh yeah. Get my whistle wet. Read 4:21.
Lamentations chapter 4 verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom.
Go ahead.
That dwellest in the land of Uz.
Ready?
The cup also shall pass through unto thee.
You see that same cup that they dished out? It said it's going to pass unto you. Come on.
Thou shalt be drunken.
Thou shalt be what?
Drunken.
Read.
And shalt make thyself naked.
Yeah, that shame is going to come out. Read verse 22.
The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished.
Go ahead.
O daughter of Zion.
Right, so when we go through the punishment of our iniquities, go ahead.
He will no more carry thee away into captivity.
Yeah, there's not going to be Esau carrying us into captivity or any other nation. But see, they helped the Babylonians at the time carry us. You can throw that photo up. You can leave it up there for a little bit. When we were leaving or getting taken from Jerusalem, they were hoarding us west into Babylonia. Remember, Edom lived right under us. So Edom came from the bottom, and what did they do? They were grabbing whoever was trying to run off. They were grabbing whoever was trying to run the opposite way. They would grab the remnant, and they pawned us off to the Babylonians. Instead of helping, instead of being a brother, they were like, yeah, they sold us into captivity for the Babylonians. And then we know through time, we were sold to them as captives. Right? This last transatlantic slave trade. They had a heavy part in that. Along with the Arabs, along with along with Elam. Tyre and Sidon, them countries, when you look, that's over there in that Mediterranean area. So Esau had a heavy part in Babylonian captivity, and obviously the Romans, the Greeks, here in America, they got everything to do with that. Where we at?
Lamentations chapter 4 verse 22, last precept.
Go ahead.
He will visit thine iniquity.
O
daughter of Edom.
Oh what?
O daughter of Edom.
Go ahead.
He will discover thy sin.
Go to Ezekiel 25 and verse 12. Ezekiel 25 and verse 12. You got? Whoever.
Ezekiel chapter 25 and verse 12.
Go ahead.
Thus said the Lord power, because that Edom had dealt against the house of Judah.
What did Edom do?
Had dealt against the house of Judah.
Go ahead.
By taking vengeance, and had greatly offended, and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus said the Lord power, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom.
Right, and we know that this is going to happen in the future, man. Edom is they're going to feel the blast. They're going to feel the pain of all the things that they did to us. Reward him double for the things that he's done unto us. Go ahead.
And will cut off man and beast.
Put up the first one. Yeah, that first one is going to show how Edom came up. How Edom came up and basically grabbed some of the remnant of Judah and brought them into Babylonia. Go ahead.
And will cut off man and beast from it.
And
I will make it desolate.
Ezekiel 36 and 5. Ezekiel 36 and verse 5. Esau, man, they got a lot coming.
Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 5. Therefore, thus said the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen.
So all the heathen got it coming. Go ahead.
And against all Idumea.
And Idumea, right, which is part of Edom. Go ahead.
Which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of their heart.
Go ahead. You see that? They said they appointed my land into their possession with the joy. They did it joyfully, man. Go ahead.
With despiteful mind. To cast it out for a prey.
Right, because this is what they did to the people. They did things despitefully. Despiteful minds to make us prey, to make the land desolate. Go to Obadiah 1 and verse 8. So you see how all these prophets are prophesying. Ezekiel, Obadiah, they were there. They were at the time of the Babylonian Empire also. They had a short stint. So they were seeing what was going on with Esau. They were like, wait a minute, man, this man is about to go, this man's about to catch hell. Obadiah chapter 1 verse 8.
Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 8. Shall I not in that day, said the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom?
Go ahead.
And understanding out of the mount of Esau?
Right, and you gotta see it, man. Like today in this age, is there really any wise men in Edom? What are they coming with that's so wise? Well, it says the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. So they're not coming with nothing wise, according to what the Most High on that level. All they're coming with is some way for you to change your sex or destroy your mind, some drug to keep you captive. But the Most High said He's going to destroy all of that. Go ahead.
And thy mighty men, O Teman, O Teman, shall be dismayed.
Go ahead.
To the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
Right. And if you understand about Edom, Edom was the country that it had these different lands. Teman, it had Bozeroth, it had Seir, Mount Seir. These were all different cities, just like how you had Israel, but then you had Jerusalem, you had Jericho, you had what did you say? Galilee, right? You had all these different cities. The city of Galilee, the city of Nazarene, or was it? It was Nazareth, right? I don't know why I said Nazarene, right? Nazareth, right? You had these different cities of Israel. Just like how you had these different cities of Edom. So he was prophesying on all these different cities. He was letting you know, bro, you in this city, you done. Teman, Idumea, Seir, Bozeroth, y'all all catching it. Diane, right. They were all dukes. These were the dukes of Edom. So he was letting them know it's going to be an onslaught. Read on, where you at?
The book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 10.
Read, no. Read verse 9.
Come. And thy mighty men, O Teman,
right.
Shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
Right, so because you see on this map that she said that she has up there, let me jump back real quick. When you look at this map, when you look at this map, if y'all want to hop on y'all phones and just look at the downloads, where's it at? No, it's gallery. How did I get that? Oh, here it is. I love this atlas, man. This atlas is beautiful. It shows you all the captivities, who was around. So you see, you had Jerusalem in the middle. You had Bethlehem. You had Judah. You had Beersheba. And then right under it showed how Edom came right up under Moab, right up into Jerusalem, and grabbed our people that were trying to flee. They were trying to flee from Jerusalem into basically around the Dead Sea area. They were trying to flee, but Edom was cutting them off before they could get there. Then it shows where King Jehoiakim, he fled into Jericho. Excuse me, King Zedekiah, he fled into Jericho. So y'all see it, man, on the map. It shows you the routes. It was 3 different times that Nebuchadnezzar went into Jerusalem and took Israel. And it showed how Esau was cutting us off. So this is why the Most High had these prophets prophesy on Esau. Go ahead.
Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob.
It says for the violence against thy brother Jacob. Now that violence, that's been going through time. It wasn't about just this time.
Good.
Listen, we fear Esau since birth. We fear Esau when he got his birthright, when he lost his birthright, when he gave up his birthright. Jacob had to flee. Why? Because he thought Esau was going to kill him.
He was.
We thought Esau was going to kill us at that time. Not that we were scared and punks, but Esau, man, he was given the blessing of the sword. He was given that blessing. So, when you bless with the sword, who's going to come up against you? Nobody. Who's going to come up against your blessing? That's what we got to understand as a people, that Esau has been given that blessing. So all this prophecy, it ain't going to be anything that we can do to defeat him with his own blessing. The only thing we can do is sit back and wait and have faith and abide in our labor and do what we got to do to make sure that when Esau's judgment comes, you ain't getting the judgment with him. That you ain't attached to him and getting the sword thrust through you while it's getting thrust through him. Remember, what is it?
Was it Fenton?
No, what about Django? They always show the Django meme when he's sitting there holding old boy when he got killed. It's like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
He's like holding him up or something. He's behind him. Mm-hmm. When that sword goes through, that's going to go through both of y'all if you want to be attached. No. So our job is to make sure that we're not attached to the ways of this kingdom, of this new Babylon, of this new Egypt, of this new Sodom. That's where our mind should be. Let me not be attached mentally to Sodom and Egypt, to slavery, to homosexuality, and the confusion. These 3 countries represent, or these 3 empires represent, or this one empire, represents those 3. The confusion, the homosexuality, and the damn slavery that we're under, mentally. Don't be attached to that, man. Read on. Where you at?
Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob,
Go ahead.
shame shall cover thee.
Read.
And thou shalt be cut off forever. 11. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captives his forces.
You see that? The Babylonians carried us away captive. It said he took away the strong men, the mighty men. Go ahead.
And foreigners entered into his gate.
Read.
And cast lots upon Jerusalem.
See, Edom wasn't supposed to stand by and watch. They were supposed to fight with us. Go ahead.
Even thou was one of them.
You see that? He said, even thou was one of them. Instead of being a brother, you became that enemy. Most High ain't forgiving that. Read on.
Thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger.
Go ahead.
Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction.
Right, because every time we were destroyed, man, Esau was there to do what? Capitalize. And now in this captivity, they were there to do what? Make sure that we got all the way from the west coast of Africa here into America so we could be their little slaves. And bed wenches and whores and turn our boys into homosexuals. Right? Go ahead.
Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
Read verse 13.
Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity.
Yeah, man, you shouldn't have been there. Esau shouldn't have been a part of that. He shouldn't have made himself a part of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity.
Come on.
Nor have laid hand on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Right, because it said they became one of the spoilers. So they was in there robbing and stealing and profaning. And then, fast forward all the way to Antiochus Epiphanes and Titus and General Pompey. They did the same thing to the Maccabees. Then years later, they came back in 70 AD and did the same thing. The Romans did the same thing in Israel. Remember, we were under Roman occupation in that time. What was it? About 70, 80 years? Just the occupation. Then they destroyed it in 70 AD. They destroyed the temple, killed the remnant of the people. So Esau had a big part. So this is talking about that time and the future, man. You got to see it, how they were prophesying on this nation. Go ahead.
Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway
to
cut off those of his that did escape.
You see that? Because there were some of the Israelites that escaped the Babylonian conquest, but Esau was there to cut them off. When you look at that map, go ahead.
Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress.
Right, because what happened, some of the ones that were left behind, where it said that they left the poor and the farmers or whatever. When you read into that, Esau was going and gathering up those people. They was going, like they left them there for a reason, but then Esau was going and taking tax from them and using and abusing those people. So Esau was dirty. He was filthy, man. But they're going to pay for it. That's the beautiful thing. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen.
On some?
All the heathen.
Go ahead.
As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee.
Come on.
Thy reward shall return upon thy own head.
Yeah, man. The same things y'all did to us, you heathen, you Edomites, man, it's going to be returned right back to you on your own head. Go ahead.
For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had been not.
That had they not been, like, as they're going to be wiped out, man. It's going to be like Esau never even existed. Read verse 17.
But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness.
Yeah, because all these nations, all that filth is going to be wiped out. But it said, upon Mount Zion will be deliverance. Go ahead.
And holiness. And the house of Jacob shall possess their possession.
They shall do what?
Possess their possession.
Go ahead.
And all the house of Jacob shall be a fire.
Come on.
And the house of Joseph a flame.
Read.
And the house of Esau for stone.
Yeah, we're going to burn them up, man. We're going to burn you heathens. So-called white man's going to have his day when he get burned up. This is the Bible. This is the Bible. I know a lot of people was like, man, I don't believe that. I don't get it. Why? Because that's why we got to go through these histories so you can see what they did to us.
Come.
We go through the history so you can see that them shooting you in the streets, that's concurrent with history of them handing you over to the enemy time and time and time. So it's not just the white man, it says, and the heathen. It's all the nations that ain't Israel.
Yeah, you can know how that's us in the curses. Like the scripture say, curses is every man that's hanging on the tree.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And
it's not them getting hung like that.
No, and they still hanging us. Right. Curses every man that hangeth on a tree. You know, when y'all gotta, I know a lot of us went to high school and we did the Esau history, Renaissance period, blah, 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 blah. That history is BS. A lot of these cities are starting to take Columbus Day out of the picture. Because Columbus and his true identity is starting to come to pass. How he was a rapist and a pedophile and a molester. How he used kids for the sex trade. He was the first sex trader. A lot of his doings are coming to pass. They're like, wait a minute, we can't know damn Columbus Day. They're switching Columbus Day for Indigenous Day. Which is good. They're trying to give recognition to our people.
Right, but
man, just give us our damn land back. And give us our nationality. We'll take that. 40 acres and a mule, I don't want that. That means get to work, nigga. Read on.
they shall kindle in them
Uh-huh.
and devour them.
Uh-huh.
And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau.
Read.
For the Lord has spoken.
Go to Amos 1 and 11. So all these prophecies were happening because these prophets were privy to see what was going on with the people and who was taking part. Read that, Amos chapter 1 verse 11.
Amos chapter 1 and verse 11.
Uh-huh.
Thus said the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom.
Yeah, see those 3 different times where the Babylonians came in and Esau was there to ransack? Go ahead.
And for 4,
Uh-huh.
I will not turn away the punishment thereof.
Yeah, that punishment ain't getting turned away. Ain't no forgiveness for that. Read.
Because he did pursue his brother with the sword.
He did what?
Pursue his brother with the sword.
Come on.
And did cast off all pity.
Yeah, he took no pity on us. When you read in Deuteronomy, where he said he would set a nation of fierce countenance, he would not regard the man of old or the woman of young or children. Right. He said he wouldn't regard nothing. He wouldn't have pity on anything. Young, old, middle-aged. He was just going to devour. Ain't that what they did? When they came in and they met the natives, man, look at the little native baby. Let's make sure that he has a good upbringing. No, let's kill his daddy and let's rape his mama and kill her, and then we'll get to him later. They weren't regarding anybody of age, but the Bible told us that they wouldn't. A nation of fierce countenance. I'm going to read it real quick. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 49. And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, no sure favor to the young. So he said he did cast off pity. Go ahead.
And his anger.
And his what?
His anger.
What was he angry about? Because he sold his birthright?
That's right.
Because he gave it up because he was covetous and greedy? Read.
Did tear perpetually.
Read.
And he kept his wrath forever.
Wait, he did what?
Kept his wrath forever.
See, Esau kept his wrath and grudge forever with Jacob. Forever means now.
That's right.
So if you one of those ones online, or if you watch this 10 years from now, and you thinking in your mind that Esau ain't the white man, who has kept their anger forever towards us? Because 10 years from now, the white man is still going to be killing us in the damn streets. 10 years from now, they're going to still be busting your kids' heads open and shooting you and acting like you got a gun so they can kill you and pulling you out the car and beating you and creating strange ways to kill you through the water, through the food, through the drugs. They're going to be telling you, yeah, go get abortions again. They're going to unlegalize it. They're going to give you bad weed, bad foods, GMO everything. Who the hell else is doing it? This is a forever hate. And guess what? We're going to get you in every which way possible. If we can't shoot you, we're going to poison you. We can't poison you, we're going to brainwash you. We're going to give you TV, music, Beyonce, Rihanna, The Weeknd, Future. We're going to give you all that. Gay cartoons. We're going to give you all these things to destroy you in some way. The destruction ain't got to be them killing us. But we're going to give it to you in some way, shape, or form.
I was just trying to make sure that when you say that he gave up his birthright, that means his will?
No, his birthright. Remember, Esau was the firstborn.
So what would be the birthright?
The birthright was all the blessings that were to come. He gave that up. He gave up the birthright of the firstborn, which was the inheritance to what? The birthright was to rule the world. To have dominion over the world. He gave that up. When you read in Genesis 26, it said he gave up his birthright for red meat, for uncooked meat.
And who was that?
That was Esau. That was Esau. He gave up his birthright. It wasn't stolen. It wasn't stolen. He gave it up. The nigga was covetous. He was greedy.
God.
He had just came from killing his own animal. And he could have cooked it up and dressed it. He was lazy. You see this brother Jacob? Was I wrong? They say he just came from the field, right? Am I wrong?
But he didn't catch nothing that day.
Oh, he didn't catch nothing that day? Okay, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. He didn't catch nothing that day. Such a cunning hunter he was. When he was out in the field. Yeah, you're right. He did go out. He was faint. He was hungry. He didn't catch nothing. So he asked Jacob, "Hey, give me that red pottage." But it was uncooked. Jacob said, "I'll trade it to you for the birthright." He said, "Yeah." So he didn't steal it. He didn't do any of that. Esau willingly gave that up. Then he had the nerve to be mad about it and then hold a grudge. Like, nigga, what you holding a grudge for? But now you see the hatred behind that grudge. Why it says, "Thou shalt not hold a grudge thy brother, hate thy brother in thy heart." Because now it leads to murder. Now they killing us every day. Now they pulling us out of cars. Now they invent different ways to kill you. Damn, Planned Parenthood was a way to kill the so-called blacks and Hispanics. That was a way to kill Jacob. But the thing is this, it's having a reverse effect where all the Edomites is going and getting abortions, and it's killing off their population. Their population is not repopulating as fast, so now they got to ban abortions in every city. Now they got to ban it. The thing that they use to kill us is killing them. Just like crack. They threw crack in the black and Hispanic community, like, damn, these niggas don't die. But guess what? All their people are dying off what? Heroin and crack overdoses. Because they ain't built like us. And there's too many of us, man. You can't kill Israel. You can't number us. Read on where you at.
Amos
verse 11.
Amos chapter 1 and verse 11.
Oh, we got time. Come on.
For thus said the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom.
Come on.
And for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof.
Right?
Because he did pursue his brother with the sword.
Yeah, man, a damn devil. Come on.
And did cast off all pity. And his anger did tear perpetually. And he kept his wrath forever.
Yeah, and that wrath turned into murdering and killing, man. It turned into them. It turned into the 400 years of slavery. It turned into us being captive to the Babylonians 70 years. It turned into us being captive to the Greek, to the Romans. It turned into all that murder, all that destruction. That's what that wrath turned into. Esau, they could have helped us. They could have came up and helped us. He knew we was brothers. But they put all that to the side because of their own self-will, because of their own anger.
They wanted to see us fall.
They wanted all that jealousy. Read verse 12.
Verse 12. But I will send a fire upon Timon.
I will do what?
Send a fire upon Timon.
Yeah, that place is going to burn like Sodom and Gomorrah. Read.
Which shall devour the palaces of Bozrah.
Go to Isaiah 63 and verse 1. Yeah, he said, I will set a fire on Timon, which shall devour the places of Bozrah. These are different places in Edom. Isaiah 63 and verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
Who is this that cometh from Edom?
That coming from what?
From Edom.
Read.
With dyed garments from Bozrah.
Yeah, not dyed in tie-dye, but dyed with blood. That's right. Read.
This that is glorious in his apparel.
Come on.
Traveling in the greatness of his strength.
Read.
I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save.
The only one that's mighty to save is Christ. Go ahead.
Wherefore art thou red in thy apparel?
Right, man. Why are you red in your apparel? All that bloodshed. There was no Damu up in here. All that bloodshed turned that apparel, that white linen that Yahweh Shai is going to come down with. It said his sword will be bathed in blood. Go ahead.
And thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat.
Right. You ever see somebody tread the wine fat or the wine press? That's back in the ancient days. They had a circular wine press, and he would stand there and just stomp the grapes, and the blood of the grapes or the wine would trickle out. And that's how they would make the wine. They would stomp it. Now you standing in red wine or red grapes, your garment is going to be dyed red.
God.
But it said that he was killing so many people from Esau And from Edom, it said his garment was dyed red. Go ahead.
Verse 3. I have trodden the winepress alone.
Go ahead.
And of the people, there was none with me.
Right, because when Yahushua comes back to get Esau, he's going to strike the first blow. He's going to strike the first and fatal blow on this nation. He said, I treaded the wine fat alone. There was nobody with me. Go ahead. He's going to take, man, you know why it has to be Yahushua? Because Esau is so prideful, and they think that they can shoot missiles and guns. It has to be something that's so above their power and they're still ain't gonna be humble. It's still not gonna humble them because they're gonna see the big black man come from the sky, come from the east. And like it says in Ezra, what are they gonna do? They're gonna point their guns towards the sky and try to kill Christ. They already got their little space force. Yeah. What's that for? Because they know about these prophecies, man. They think they're gonna really fight Christ and the angels. They really think like, yeah, we got him. We got Christ. We gonna have a space force.
They try to tell us it's aliens.
Trump is a damn idiot. They all gonna melt up there, man, when the angels come back. When they come back in that number, they gotta think about it. When Christ and the angels come back, these hundreds of millions, these billions of angels, and Christ come back, you think there's going to be anything, when he finally shows himself for all to see, you think there's going to be any power that's going to be able to stop that? The whole Bible will be prophesied, will come to pass when Yahushua comes down. You think there's going to be anything strong enough to stop someone coming from the sky with angels and chariots? Come on, man. That's going to be above Esau's pay grade. It's above your pay grade, homie.
The day of the Lord is darkness.
It's darkness. When you hear that, when you see that pitch black, and you hear that noise, them trumpets from the east, come on, man, that earth start rattling. It says hearts are going to melt. It says your knees are going to turn into water.
Weak as water.
So you think, but this is the sad part. Esau's really going to be like, let's get them, boys, and hell nah. That's why they got to go down. It's going to be epic. That's why Yahushua has to be the first. You got to come down and just start wiping cats out, man. Read on.
For I will tread them in my anger.
Read.
And trample them in my fury.
Go ahead.
And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garment.
That's why he said he came from the wine press. He said the blood is going to be sprinkled on his garment. Go ahead.
And I will stain all my raiment.
Read verse 4.
For the day of vengeance is in my heart.
Come on.
And the year of my redeemed is come.
Come on.
And I looked, and there was none to help.
Read.
And I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury upheld me.
Go to Joel 3 and verse 19. Yeah, man, I can't wait. But it says, woe to you that desire the day of the Lord. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing the right thing so that when it does happen, I can be happy. Because it says the day of the Lord is not a happy day. Joel 3:19.
Joel chapter 3 and verse 19.
Go ahead.
Egypt shall be desolate.
So not just Edom, but who?
Egypt shall be desolate.
Read.
And Edom shall be desolate, be a desolate wilderness.
Come on.
For the violence against the children of Judah.
Yeah, man, all that violence that they did to us in Egypt, all that hard rigor and bondage, and then now when you come into spiritual Egypt, all that violence that's happening to us in these streets. Read on.
Because they have shed innocent blood in their land.
Go ahead.
But Judah shall dwell forever.
Read.
And Jerusalem for generation to generation.
Read.
For I will cleanse their blood that have not cleansed, For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. For the Lord dwelleth in Zion.
Ezekiel 35:2. Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 2. Esau got a whole nother thing coming, man. They got a whole nother thing coming. They in their kingdom right now. They riding high, right? Riding high on the backs of the black and Hispanic man. But they got a whole nother thing coming, man. Read on.
Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 2.
Read.
Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir,
Right.
and prophesy against it.
Come on.
And say unto it, thus said the Lord God, behold, Mount Seir. Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee.
I am what?
I am against thee.
Read.
And I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Most High. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred.
We have what?
Have had a perpetual hatred.
Esau has what?
Perpetual hatred.
Come on.
And has shed the blood of the children of Israel.
Read.
By the force of the sword in the time of their calamity.
Right. So when we were falling to the Babylonians, Esau was there to help kill us, man. Read on.
In the time that their iniquity had an end.
Read on.
Therefore, as I live, said the Lord most High, I will prepare unto thee.
You know, he said, I will prepare thee unto blood.
Prepare thee unto blood.
Go ahead.
And blood shall pursue thee.
Yeah, man, because ain't that what Esau's after? They want to see us bleed. He said, I will prepare thee unto blood. You gonna bleed, man. Who is that coming from Bozrah with his garments dyed? I will prepare you unto blood. Go ahead.
Since thou hast not hated blood.
Since thou hast not hated blood, because Esau loves that bloodshed. They all about that blood. They all about killing with the sword. Go ahead.
Even blood shall pursue thee.
So that's what's going to pursue you. That death. Read on.
Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, and thy hills, and thy valleys, and all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword.
And that's what's going to happen to this country when it's all said and done. It's going to be bodies in the street, man. A lot of Edomite bodies in the street. A lot of Israel too. But a lot of Edomite bodies are going to be dropped. Go ahead.
I will make thee
a perpetual.
I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Go to Isaiah 34:5, last scripture. Oh yeah. That's why in Psalms 37 he said, oh, remember Edom. Remember Edom for all the things that they've done. Now we're going through what Edom has done throughout the scriptures. Isaiah 34 and verse 5.
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 5. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven.
Woo. Read.
Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea.
On who?
Idumea.
Idumea is another place in Edom. The Idumeans. Go ahead.
And upon the people of my curse.
Read.
To judgment.
Read.
The sword of the Lord is filled with blood.
It's filled with rainbows.
With blood.
He don't got no sword.
With blood.
It said the sword of the Lord is filled with blood. Read on.
It is made fat with fatness.
Ooh, come on, read.
And with the blood of lambs
and there ain't no real goats and lambs. Read on.
And with the fat of the kidneys of rams.
Come on.
For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Basra.
Yeah, like we read in Isaiah 63. Who is it that coming from Basra? Read on.
A great slaughter in the land of Idumea.
And it ain't no goats and lambs. This is people. This is the nation of Edom. Esau, the so-called white man. Read.
And the unicorn shall come down with them.
And
the bullock with the bulls. And their land shall be soaked with blood.
With what?
With blood.
Come on.
And their dust made fat with fatness.
Read.
For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion.
Wait, what is it for?
Recompense for the controversy of Zion.
And all the controversies that Esau done put us in, this is why they getting dealt like this. Because of the things they did to Zion. Read on.
Verse 9. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof.
Jump down to verse 14.
Verse 14. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the islands. That's
not it. Hold on. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. Where's that? That's Isaiah 34. Hold on. So Isaiah 34, right? I didn't mark it. That's the problem. Put the scripture here and I took it. Oh yeah. Oh, it's Isaiah 34 and verse. And I will lay my vengeance. For the nation of the Lord. You read to verse 8, right?
Yes, sir.
Damn. Where was that at? And the beast, and there shall be great. And he kills them. Go over to go back to Psalms. Go back to Psalms. And read verse Psalms 37 and verse, what is it, 7?
Count.
37 or 137?
137.
Count.
Yeah, my bad.
Psalm chapter 137 and verse 7. Remember, O Yahweh, the children of Edom.
Remember who?
The children of Edom.
Now we see why in this prayer, sit down, why he said remember the children of Edom, man, because all this atrocity that they did towards us. And that was at this time, at that time. This was damn 586 BC. That's when this Psalms 37 was written, around that time. In the 500s, man, BC. So all that hate that's been building up over time, man, you think they ain't gonna catch it now? It's sad because you got people out there trying to save Esau. You can't save them from this. You can't save them from this vengeance, man. I don't care how many times you baptize them. I don't care how much you make them preach. I don't care how many babies you have with them. I don't care how much you put them in your congregation. Bro, they can't be saved from what the Most High got coming for their people. You might be able to hide a remnant, but they're going down, man. Read on.
Remember, O Yahweh, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
Go ahead.
O daughter of Babylon.
Oh what?
O daughter of Babylon.
Edom is what?
Daughter of Babylon.
Come on.
Who are to be destroyed.
Read.
Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
Right. That's why in Revelation it says, he that leadeth into captivity shall be led into captivity. He that killeth with the sword shall be killed with the sword. Right? This is the patience and the faith of the saints. He said, do what? Reward thee.
Reward thee as thou hast served us.
Read.
Happy shall he be that taketh and dashes thy little ones against the stone.
Because that's what they did to us. When you go into, I forget what book it is. I know it was during the Spanish conquest, man. They went into Hispaniola and they were bashing babies against the rocks and cutting them out of wombs. This is what the white man was doing to us. They were stringing up our pregnant women and going and cutting the babies out of their bellies and cutting off their breasts and then taking the baby out the womb and bashing the baby on the floor and bashing them against the rocks. This is what the white man was doing. The same white man that some of our people look up to as their damn daddy. I'm going to say it. Some of y'all act like Esau's your white daddy. Like the white man is so great. Look what he gave us. All he gave you was religion, AIDS, and homosexuality. He gave you Catholicism, Christianity, Jehovah's Wickedness, Mormonism, He told you that you were a dog, that you were nothing. That's all he gave you, lies, man. He gave us lies, death, and destruction. So it said, rewardeth him. Read that last verse one more time.
8.
Yeah.
O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed.
Read.
Happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us.
Right, and that's why the scriptures say double. I'm trying to find it. It's in Revelations. This is the last scripture. It says double. Reward her double.
Right.
I didn't get a chance to throw it in there. What's that? It's in Revelations. Right? Let's get this last one and then we can reward. Revelations 18:6.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 6.
Read verse 4.
Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people.
This is why it's important for us to come out of Babylon, out of Edom, out of Egypt. Go ahead. Mentally, spiritually, philosophy-wise, tradition-wise. Read.
That ye be not partakers of her sins.
That you'll be a partaker of the sins knowingly or unknowingly. Read.
That ye receive not of her plagues.
And then you don't receive the punishment for that. Come on.
For her sins has reached unto heaven.
Yeah, the Most High, he hears it. He sees it. He said the eyes of the Lord are on the sinful kingdom. Read on.
And the Most High hath remembered her iniquity.
Yeah, you can't bury history, man. They ain't going to be able to bury history like, oh, no, that didn't happen. No, well, we don't remember that, Lord. Like, remember that time when you took Judah and fed them to the Babylonians? Nah, but you got that wrong, because what had happened was, they ain't going to be able to do that. The Most High remembers the iniquities. They can't write their way out of this. You know how they try to rewrite history? You can't color this. You can't color your way out of this one.
It's like, they try to negotiate and talk their way out of a bullet.
Yeah. You ain't going to negotiate out of this. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you.
Do what?
Reward her even as she rewarded you.
Read.
And double.
And then double it. You're going to reward her and then double it. Come on.
And double unto her, double according to her work.
Read.
In the cup which she hath filled.
Because remember he said that cup is going to pass through Edom? Right? So that cup that's been filled, read.
Filled to her double.
Yeah, give her that double portion. That's going to be for Edom, for Egypt, for Babylon. All these kingdoms. Romans. Any questions on that? Yeah, that book was the brief account of the destruction of the Indies. Where you can read about where they went in, man. They strung the women up, cut the babies out the belly, bashed the infants against the stones, cut the women's breasts off, cut off the men's testes. Yeah, it's in history. These are those Spanish conquistadors. Those were the Spanish Caucasians. Remember, you got your French Caucasians, you got your French Edomites, your Spanish Edomites, your Edomites, right? And you got some of your Israelite Edomites that are in an Edomite state of mind. They got to wake up. Any questions? You look at me so serious, like you got your Israelite Edomites, right? Any questions on the topic? If there's anything off the topic, well, tomorrow's Saturday. We got time, baby. The kind of destruction that Esau gave us antichrist ideas and values. Yes, they did. Gangster culture and drugs. Yep. He said, "What all we've been through, here. These are all the scriptures that make you want to run around a Christian." It's true, but not in that Christian mind. It makes you want to run around and just be happy that we gonna get recompense, man. It does bring comfort to know that it's not forever, man. What we're going through is not forever. We just got to stay the path. We just got to stay the path, man. The vengeance is the Lord's. I will revenge. My favorite, Isaiah 63, man. Who is this that cometh from Bozrah?
This was the one that you had.
It was Ezekiel, yeah.
25.
Ezekiel 25 and 14. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. And they shall do in Edom according to mine anger, and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord. So there's going to be a time when the people, we're going to be putting our hands up on them. That's after Yahweh Shai gets his bar. Right? When he gets a bar at Esau, then we're going to get a little piece. Alright? So, I mean, what ended there?
So my eyes shall see.
He said, my eyes shall see my in the Revelations.
The Psalms.
Oh.
Read.
But it was one in Revelations too. He said, Yahweh Shai said it. He said, behold, he come with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, they also which pierced him.
Oh,
You talking about that?
No, I was talking about my eyes shall see the vengeance upon my enemies.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, Psalms 92.
Not yet.
Yeah, Psalms 92. He said, my eyes shall see also the vengeance upon my enemies. Yep. What was the name of the book? It's called A Brief Account of the Destruction of the Indies. A brief account of the destruction of the Indies. All right, so we'll end it there. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. for Shabbat morning class. Make sure you log in with us early so you can be a part of those prayers, and we can get those prayers down in Hebrew. You know how we do the reading, then we answer your questions, and then we do the closing prayers, and then we go from there. So we definitely thank everybody for joining us. It was fun. I had fun putting that one together. A lot of history. That reading, man, is important. That history is very important. We're going to do a lot more history.
Yeah, I like the history.
Get that out the way, and that way we can know it. Talk about these captivities, and really just see how they mirror each other. We were wicked. Somebody came, put us in check. But Esau just went too far. Alright, so if that's it, we'll end it there. We will see y'all back here tomorrow. Just a quick question. How did Ammon and Moab get to where they are today? That's not a quick question. That's not a quick question. We'll be here all night talking about that. But just like any people, they moved around. That's all it is. Just like any people, they moved around, and there's a lot of research coming out that the ones that we call Moab and Ammon, that a lot of them there's Israel scattered in them. So just like any other nation, they moved around through wars, through fighting, through being conquered, just like how we got moved around. So I mean, if you want like a detailed specifications, then we'd have to just go back and just look into it. Yeah, brief account of the destruction of the Indies. That's the name of the book, Dave. Yeah, but it's just the same. It's the same way, man. How any people are moved around, just through wars, through fighting. The same way the Egyptians were pushed down into Somalia through wars and fighting. The same way that the fake Arabs are over there. They ain't the real Arabs. A lot of Esau mixed in with them. It's through wars and through fighting. Same way we got pushed into America through running from wars and fighting. So, yeah. All right, man. We will we'll pick it up back here tomorrow. All right.
Good.
Let's salute them online. Let's say shalom.
Shalom.
But you devils taught lies on Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ. In Hebrew, it's Yahweh Shai. So do or die. The immaculate conception is deception. Along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's clause, the birth of Nimrod. And not the son of God. To you was kind of odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias. And the facts can't be changed. It's all about the